It was on January 26th, 2011, when the first episode of this very fine, sophisticated program known as Downloadable Content was released to the world. In that episode, we talked about the resurgence of 2D games and that year's nominees for the Nintendo Power Awards. Well, Nintendo Power is dead, 2D continues to be very alive and well, and 199 more episodes and 15 years later, this fun little thing continues onward and upward. And so for this, our 200th episode, we thought it'd be fun to look back and revisit some of our own history as we celebrate this lovely milestone, next on Downloadable Content. And welcome to episode 200 of the DLC podcast. I am Brian, and with me I have Veronica.
Hiya.
And once again returning, the OG co-host and part of the original panel of DLC, we have Ron.
Brian found me in the closet. He hasn't forgot to clean it out these past couple months. So, hello everyone.
I hope I got rid of all of the mothballs. I hope that you haven't found any in weird places. I'm sorry, but here you are.
Mothballs?
That's a step up. Wait, what? And we're also going to have a Spencer. Spencer's going to join us later on in the episode for this wonderful milestone. But yes, 200 episodes. Jesus Christ, what are we thinking? How did this come to pass? Where did we go wrong? Whatever. All right. I guess we're all here, so we're just gonna have to stay, I suppose. So before we dive in, I just want to remind you that every single episode, all 200 of them, can be found on our website, dlcpodcast.com. In addition, they can be found on Apple Podcasts / iTunes, on YouTube, and also on Spotify. So all of the different ways to get DLC into your ears. Just make sure that you have proper ear protection. We're not responsible for what happens.
Protection's important, kids.
Yes, absolutely. So, yeah, 200 episodes, 15 years of this silliness. I'm just as surprised as everyone else. Yeah, simply because, when the inspiration, what got me wanting to do this back a long time ago, was just a simple, I wanted to have chats with people about video games. I like talking about video games with friends. I love talking about video games with fellow gamers because as much as I love my spouse, as much as I adore Ethan is not a gamer. So whenever I would get into these passionate discussions about video games or various topics relating to the industry, I could always see the moment when Ethan's eyes just glazed over. And just like, yep, no, you have checked out of this. All right. And so living where I was and not having a lot of my friends being far away wasn't an opportunity I got very often. And so that was basically it. That was basically the whole idea behind Downloadable Content, was that I wanted a forum to talk about video games with friends and 200 episodes in, I still think, I think that's still the case. Like, I still enjoy it.
I mean, it is a delight to be here and to be talking to so many people. Like, for people who don't know me here, might be listening. Out of everybody here, about the only person I knew when podcast started was Brian. And I have made several close friends just through this podcast. And that's amazing to me. Now I can send messages to Spencer whenever I want and troll him, and that is wonderful. I delight in that.
You two will always have Resident Evil 4. You will always have that.
Well, it's also a thing too that when we started, like you started this, it was also a way for some of us to be able to talk about things that were going on and that we could not talk to other people about because we're not going to Reddit because I don't think Reddit was around. It might have just started becoming a thing.
It was around. It wasn't big.
Yeah, and you're not going to 4chan because 4chan is still a cesspool.
Still, that hasn't changed.
If anything, that cesspool's only gotten deeper and wider. But that's besides the point. So, like, you're looking for people that are reasonably minded. You can have a semi-serious discussion on things to nail down your opinions, formulate thoughts, just shoot the shit in some cases. And Brian's like, "Hey, you want to talk video games?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'm all down for talking video games. You name a day and a place, and I'll try and get there."
And 129 times you have done that.
Listen, when you've been alive for 39 years now, and you've been playing video games for 37 of them, you've acquired a bit of knowledge, I would say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, so wait, you started playing video games when you were 2?
I was very precocious as a 2-year-old. I would sit and watch my dad play Space Invaders, and then he would hand me the controller. And you try telling a 2-year-old to move the controller of an Atari joystick.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, like I started my first memory of a video game was my NES when I was 4. So 36 years I've had a controller in my hand. But yeah, no, and it's just go on.
No, you go.
I'm very glad that here we are 15 years later, even though so many of our lives have changed, our priorities have changed, I still get a kick out of talking video games with anyone who will listen and anyone who wants to participate in a discussion that more often than not doesn't really go too far off the rails and doesn't descend into. We've never descended into shouting matches and
into utter madness.
Yeah, it's again, this is not Reddit or 4chan, so and it's just been enjoyable. When I initially brought this to a close during COVID after 10 years, I was thinking at the time, 10 years is a nice round number, but also I was just feeling burnout because, I mean, look where we were during COVID. Look where the state of the world was. We had people saying that injecting horse paste was a good and bleach was a good way to cure COVID. So just I was burned out, but then a couple of years later, I genuinely missed doing the episodes, and so we revived it as a Twitch show. A live Twitch show, which didn't last very long. That was 6-7 episodes, and then here we are back in the old audio format. And so it's
back in the podcast minds.
Yeah, back in the podcast minds, but also, as our lives have gotten busier and things like that, we don't pump these out every 2 weeks anymore. Now it's once a month, which for me has actually been a very good production schedule. Okay, I can edit one episode a month. Between all of the other things I have going on in my life,
you edited the very first episode in a little over a week.
Yeah. Like, so, you know, we all of us here are looking at the master list. That is the Excel file that I have kept since we have started DLC. And so I have 2 columns next to each episode. Well, I have a bunch of columns, but 2 of them. One is date one is date recorded, and one is date released. So yeah, the first episode, it was recorded January 17th, and then 9 days later, I put the episode out. That is. I miss those days.
That's some turnaround.
I miss those days. Now it's like if I can get 1 episode out a month, I consider it a minor miracle. But no, I mean, we had the first 3 episodes were the same panel. So they were Peter, Kai, and Ron. You know, and also looking at this list that, you know, I've been keeping for 15 years, I realized that there's actually several dead names on here that I have to go in and now change. Because Erica is now Kai and has been so for years. There's another.
I was curious who Erica was, and you just mentioned it, and I went, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, that's so.
Yeah, this is a case of this is list has probably not been looked back on too often. You're just like entering information when podcast is aired, done, go on to the next one, and then you go like, "Oh no, wait, this has to be updated to comply with HR standards."
Yeah, I have to go in and finish complying with HR standards, because that's exactly it. I just add to it and then move on. But it's like, oh, like it was last year that I changed all of Veronica, I had to get rid of Veronica's old name and just like, yep. But
yeah, that's a personal one that's changed for me since we started the podcast.
Yes, that was a whole different person ago.
Yeah, it was.
But, you know, just
listen. Things change over 15 years. You learn more about yourself. You figure out that the world can get a lot worse than you previously thought it was.
I mean, I think a lot of us have realized that over time.
But I mean, oh God, you know, I was 25, and, you know, I was more lighthearted and free. My guts were on fire, but I was lighthearted and free. It was a.
Yeah, that was a whole journey for you.
Yeah, it was. That was, as was evidenced by the case that, I think, season 2 only had 9 episodes because I spent most of 2012 bedridden.
Well, we had 10, but there's still that hidden one, I believe.
Oh yeah, we have an unaired episode. It was Kirby's anniversary. That was Kirby's 20th, and we recorded it. And I just spent basically the rest of that year just in agony. So
we have a secret DLC episode?
It's probably buried somewhere on my external, but it was never ever released. So
you could have just put that out as the 200th episode and not put in any of this work.
Yes, I absolutely could have, and then it would.
That's the raw file. It's like here's a flashback to 2012.
Yeah, here's 2012. Here's we're gonna talk about Kirby, and people are gonna be like, wait a minute, I want to wait, release that episode and just see how long it takes for someone to realize, wait a minute, Kirby's older than 20. What the hell, you know? But no, I mean, just like right off the rip, just season 1. It's like, you know, the first 3 episodes, the Nintendo Power Awards, 2D games, and then the second series evolution was, you know, talking about how do franchises stay alive, and then episode 3, Supreme Court. So like, right?
What was Supreme Court being involved in video games for? They can't. Why would they be caring about some piddly little thing like pixels on a screen? And well, other things have happened since then. So. Oh
yes, and just like. That was such a mishmash, but even then, like, we had already established a pattern of like doing anniversary episodes, like the first anniversary episode was the Sonic one. That was
episode 8.
Episode 8. It was Sonic's 20th anniversary. There was a block of, we did 4 of them in a row. It was Sonic, it was Dragon Quest, and Zelda. We did Dragon Quest and Zelda in the same episode. Donkey Kong and Metroid in the same episode, and then Resident Evil. So
it's kind of funny to look at that, because we could drag Zelda into almost 2 episodes at least now.
Yes.
And we combined them together.
And I
so much more concise.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't just concise. It was also the fact that back then it would have been Twilight Princess. I think would have been the newest one, correct? Or Skyward Sword.
So Twilight Princess came out in 2006. Because
Skyward Sword was later then. So yeah. So
because Twilight Princess
Skyward Sword would have been the newest one, I think.
Yeah, because Twilight Princess was a Wii launch title. So yeah, this is 5 years later. So I'm almost positive it was Skyward Sword. It had to have been.
Yeah, Skyward Sword would have been the most recent.
So we had that. We had established our PAX East recaps and our E3, the late E3.
Excuse me. Skyward Sword would have been coming out later that year.
Okay. And so when that episode dropped, it was May 2011, and we recorded it in April, so a month prior.
Yes, so we were anticipating Skyward Sword, going like, where are they going to go with this? How are they going to use Wii controls to benefit the system and benefit the gameplay? Well, we figured out how they did. They just made Link right-handed.
Yeah, because Skyward Sword was their anniversary game.
Yes, it was, and I remember specifically in that episode. I don't know if you remember this, Ron, but one of the panelists for that episode, Chris, I remember, and this has stuck with me to this day, that he refused to play. And speaking of which, I gotta change Chris's name because Chris doesn't go by Chris anymore. Refused to play Twilight Princess because they made Link right-handed. I don't know if he has since played Twilight Princess in the last 15 years, but at the time that we did that episode, he was such a Zelda fanboy that the fact that they made Link right-handed for the Wii just absolutely infuriated him.
I was about to say, that's only for the Wii. He could play it on the GameCube.
I think he's right-handed on the GameCube one too.
No, I'm pretty sure they're flipped. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure
I don't remember.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Skyward Sword was the first one where they had it fully right-handed. Twilight Princess flipped depending on which version you were playing. My memory's awful, so I could be wrong, but I'm pretty certain.
I mean, that would have made sense, but obviously for the Wii, you have to adapt your game to, and I don't know if did we have the technology yet to have an option where you could play the game right or left-handed? I don't think we did.
No, there were user accessibility options in 2011.
Yeah, no, right, sure. Thank you, Ron.
Yeah,
what was I thinking?
Looking at the Wikipedia article, they literally flipped the entire world.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
They literally just did like negative 180 on everything for the Wii version.
All right, Veronica, you were right. 1 to you.
So I am a huge Zelda fan, and I have tried to make a unified Hyrule using the different maps. And Twilight Princess is the big one where you have to make sure you're looking at the right map, because depending on which map you're looking at, it's going to be mirrored.
Yep.
That's probably why it's stuck in my mind.
And yeah, so that user accessibility. Yes. What the hell am I thinking, Brian? We didn't have user accessibility options in 2011.
At least not in consoles. I wouldn't be surprised if there were some... I mean, I don't know if they would call them accessibility options, but in PC games, there were stuff we would call accessibility options now, and some. They just weren't super common.
Back then, they would have been called mods, probably.
Almost certainly. And I'm just like... Mm-hmm. And, there's still some things that we are still talking about today. Like, we had a late Season 1 episode talking about, in 2011, mind you, the wave of remakes and reboots.
The wave that never ended.
The wave that is still going.
Much like the song that never ends, it is going on, my friends.
Yes.
On the other hand, I think we were more negative back in. I think, yeah, I was on that episode.
Yes,
I
you
think
were.
that we were more negative in season 1 when it comes to that. Now I can name a dozen really, really high quality remakes that I'm glad we have.
I mean, I was certainly negative on that episode.
Yeah. Like, not that there aren't still cash grab remakes, but I think we've found a nice medium of quality remakes that actually bring good modern accessibility, but bring a lot of value to these older games.
It's really noticeable with the recent re-releases and remakes of the Resident Evil series, where you have a company taking a very prized, very valuable IP and updating the gameplay to modern aesthetics and the graphics too, but while keeping the core spirit of the game alive, keeping the core emotions that you feel in those moments as close to the original as possible. And in some cases even enhancing it with the advent of better audio technology, better visuals, having controls that don't feel like you're driving a goddamn tank.
Yeah,
you mean you're not a fan of the old ancient PS1 tank controls for original Resident Evil?
I'm not piling a submersible down to the Marianas Trench, Ryan.
You're not?
Speaking of what's old is new again, during that episode, we talked about the Resident Evil 1 remake being the remake that most remakes should be striving for. The thing that actually... Yeah, and now in the modern day, we're going, oh yeah, no, same thing, but Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 4, like we're talking about the modern one.
Yeah.
And if anything, that remake's not looked on as like an example of like what not to do in some cases too. It's like, listen, this is like a very easy cash grab people did that you didn't really change a whole lot. You didn't really take advantage of the modern hardware in some fashion.
Yeah, and just like I remember like, yes, nostalgia is still big business, but a lot of those remakes back then were just a lot of like, let's just put a new coat of shiny on it and just, call it good. But no, it's like, yeah, Resident Evil 1 was held up to a great standard. I mean, now, like, I haven't played yet, as of this recording, I have not yet played the Silent Hill remake, the Silent Hill 2 remake, which is on my list now that I've seen the new movie. I have not yet played the Dead Space remake, but, as far as recent remakes, like, the Resident Evil 4 remake, I kind of like better than the original. I know, Veronica, you absolutely do.
100%.
1,000,000,000,000%, I know you do. But yeah, so just like, we are still cranking out the remakes and all of that, but now more developers are taking a closer look, saying, okay, what was the game that we wanted to make 20, 25 years ago, but couldn't? And some devs are really taking that to heart.
I can't remember which remake it is off the top of my head, but I remember reading some interview with some developers, I think it was in a Game Informer, where when they were doing the remake of their game, they went back to all of their original notes and found the things that they couldn't manage with the technology at the time, to find the stuff that they wanted to work on adding in, stuff that would be true to the original vision because it was part of the original vision.
Yeah. Like,
I wish I could remember which game that was.
Well, it'll come to you at 4 a.m. in a blinding vision.
Well, it probably going to the current pinnacle standard of what a remake is, the Final Fantasy VII one, you have this you have the original developers who have come back and like they're now like project directors, and they're working on this thing, looking at their original notes. They share screenshots and like images of like drawings they've done of like setting up battle scenes and setting up camera positions and things like that, and they're pairing it with a bunch of employees and people who grew up on those games and remember those games fondly and want to do those titles with respect and honor to make it as good as they possibly can. And you're seeing Square Enix pumping out 2 amazing games that fit the ethos and energy of what Final Fantasy VII fans remember. Like, no joke, people play Final Fantasy VII in the past, look at Final Fantasy VII today and go, this is what I saw. This is what I saw in my mind. This is what I saw playing out on the screen. I'm not just hitting attack. I'm seeing Cloud dodge an attack from the Hell House and cutting into the Buster Sword. And like, there's these things like the Hell House is the perfect example of how are you going to have Cloud and Aerith and the party fight a literal mechanical house, and they figured it out.
They managed to create my favorite single-player Final Fantasy in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Like, they knocked that out of the park. I mean, we can debate on whether it's a remake, whether it's a reboot, like what it actually classified as, but it was a reimagining, and like Resident Evil 1 is what I almost always go back to as this is what a remake should be. This is what people should be striving for. But Final Fantasy VII might have surpassed that to me. Like, that to me is the best reimagining of a game that I've ever had. But
it's going to depend on how they stick the landing into the third one. Because I think because is this a case of Matrix? What is it, the third Matrix Revolution or Revelation? Is the third movie where like they may have not stick the landing as much as they did, versus, or is this going to be a Lord of the Rings trilogy where like Two Towers was decent, there's some good things in there, but like Return of the King is going to be where you really have to stick the landing. They really stuck the landing on that last one.
I hope they stick the landing, because I refuse to put either of the 7s on my favorite games list until I see the ending, because the ending is either going to make or break it for me. But if it can stick the landing, that's going to be a game that's going to be on my favorites list for a long time.
Well, I absolutely look forward to playing the whole thing when the final game comes out, because that is
you've been holding out since then. Oh no, oh no, sir! You had so much gameplay to go through, sir. You honestly need to look into starting that up and setting aside like a whole month to play all of them when the third one comes out.
Well, I kind of got bit by the whole, episodic game thing, see Sonic 4, and just like, it was like, oh, we'll only make this if the previous game does well. So it's like, nope, I am not going to play my favorite Final Fantasy, the remake of one of my favorite Final Fantasy games, until it is all done. So
here's the thing, I can relate to that, because I did the exact same thing when they did the After Years, which came out as an episodic nature, and it was the sequel to one of my favorite Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy IV, and I never played it until years afterwards.
Yeah, so on last thing I'll say about remakes, if we're talking Final Fantasy, Square, if you're listening, can you get on that Final Fantasy VI remake, please and thank you? I'd love to see Kefka in all of that hysterical madness. But yes, so moving on. So I'm looking at the list of the episodes, and it's like there's so much of these that are like little time capsules. Like, we get to season 2, and we did an episode, or second episode of season 2, talking about motion gaming, because we had the Wii, we had the PlayStation Snow Cone, we had the Kinect. And so we were just riding this wave of motion gaming brought on by the Wii. And then that got dropped like a sack of bricks a couple generations later.
Oh, no, it got... We mean next generation. We mean a couple generations later. It's been dropped pretty much almost entirely.
Yeah.
Like, still used in some cases. Like, literally Wii Sports, I think, is still gets used to this day in some physical therapy stuff. But other than that, not really.
But as far as...
Does gyroscopic aiming count? Because that has made console first-person and third-person shooters playable for me in a way that was difficult in the past. And I highly appreciate the rise of gyroscopic controls.
Oh no, motion gaming led to a lot of innovation, especially in game design and controller design going forward. But I'm what I was referring to specifically was the idea of getting off your ass to play a game. You're like, again, we had the Wii, we had the Kinect, we had the PlayStation Move, and I think the only console now that still uses any form of actual motion, like actual get up and move mechanics, I think is the Switch, because they still have like the
Ring Fit Adventure.
Yep, and we have Nintendo Switch Sports, in which one of the games is soccer, where you actually have to strap part of the Joy-Con to your leg. So,
only Nintendo.
Only Nintendo.
Only Nintendo would do that.
Only Nintendo is still sticking with this. But, everything else has been dropped. But no, there were some design elements that you mentioned, Veronica, that paved the way. So, gyroscopic motion, haptic sensors, So, I mean, all of that came out of those generations. But, yeah, that's like, as far as, I mean, I still to this day, though, still see, those mechanics, those get off your ass mechanics still prevalent whenever I go to PAX East, because there is a designated area at the convention that is just the dancing stage. So that's where you have your Just Dance and your DDR. That is still a thing. But no, that was that was a long. But actually getting off your ass to move is not really.
Nintendo's been doing this kind of stuff forever, because I mean, if you really think about it, Duck Hunt on the NES was just the predecessor to motion gaming.
Oh yeah. That's you can see the historical connection. You can see the timeline, straight through. It's Nintendo's always marched to beat their own drum anyway.
And they're going to continue with that. They're going to continue with light motion controls in their consoles until it becomes a fad again.
Yes, indeed. Because this is Nintendo.
Which is funny, like, you think about it, 6 or 7 years later, we started seeing the rise and the rebirth of the VR headset and the VR console thought being a thing.
Yeah.
Actually, no, it was like 2018, 2019, I think, is when we really started seeing like VR being pushed again, and that was thought to be like the next, the next evolution, the next step in video gaming, immersive gameplay. You can see everything happening around you, you can feel, figuratively speaking, everything being touched and dropped onto you. You have a VR version of Resident Evil 7, which is still touted as one of the spookiest fucking things you can play. And although 2026, there's still VR titles being put out by studios of some kind, but usually smaller studios or indie studios. And by and large, people are only using VR for Beat Saber.
Yeah. I mean, a couple other things. VR chat.
Okay, yes. VR chat. Oh my god. Listen, the one thing that has not changed since the beginning of the internet to today, how horny everyone is on it.
I mean, from my own personal thing, there are so many trans people in groups that I'm part of who realized they were trans or first started experimenting through VR chat. Like, it's been a huge thing for that community.
Yeah, very much so. Just though, to your point, Ron, though, it's like I feel like every so often, every generation or so, we get VR tries to make a real solid dent, and then most gamers are just like, no, I don't want to have to work for my. I don't have to work for this.
I can see VR, if it gets cheap enough, becoming an alternative to console gaming, the way we would see the DS or Game Boy or other side things where they're not competing. VR is never going to give the same experience if you're looking for a console or PC game. But it can give its own experience that you may want. But it's never going to be able to build that niche until it's inexpensive enough for it to be accessible to the general public.
Well, it's not just
which I still argue it's not.
It's not just cost; it's also a use form factor and a battery life factor and comfortability factor on having these things on your face. Even if you have a VR headset that weighs like a pound, like a 1 pound sitting on your forehead or your face is gonna put an extra strain on your neck that you are not used to. You have to have this device be ultra light, ultra responsive, with a very clear screen and a battery life, if it even has a wireless functionality, which is almost a must at this point, that's going to last like a good more than 2 or 3 hours. And like that's just not a cheap thing to make right now.
That's why I said cost, because right now they can, and I've seen a couple ones where I would say they have been able to hit those marks, but they're all on the highest end models. They're on the most expensive ones, and they need to be able to get these. So comfort isn't isn't something you're paying extra for, because if it's not comfortable, you're not going to be using it, and it's not going to catch on.
Yeah. And it's all, and from a gaming side of it, I think it could be someone's main game or someone's main title of some kind, but it will require a thing that doesn't exist yet. It would require the like Sword Art Online type game. It would require some other like hit game that people can delve hundreds of thousands of hours into in a VR setting.
They need an MMO. They need a signature MMO that can pull people in, that they can feel like they are their character. That is a fantasy that people have always had. That is like, that should be a selling point. That should be one of those flashpoints for VR. But MMOs are expensive enough as they are, and no one is willing to drop the money into it for a VR system when they're not going to get that guaranteed return. And that's ultimately the issue. What it needs to be is one of the companies that is making these headsets needs to just decide to go first party and make this themselves, going, this is a loss leader. We're not doing this to make money. We're doing this because this is going to make us a landmark. Where this is going to make us the destination. That's what I'm looking for. The destination to get people here, and accept that we may not see a return on this financially, but we're going to see a return on this through people buying our console and blowing up that way. But up until this point, no, none of them are. Like the closest we got to first party stuff is really Half-Life Alyx.
Yeah, and like Steam was going to be my example of like that. Valve will be the only company I can think of outside of maybe Tencent that would have the capital to throw money away like that to be a loss leader, because Steam and Valve have spent money on the Steam Deck, which is another thing that has changed since 2011. Is the return, the death and rebirth of handheld gaming.
Yeah,
they took the Half-Life and Portal universes and made a modern sci-fi MMO using that universe. Oh, that would be fire.
Well, if that comes, if VR becomes more and more of a thing, and it becomes accessible like that, I hope that they sell them with free barf bags, because I know for me that just be like that is my entire problem with VR. It's a motion sickness thing.
I was gonna say, there's some like pharmaceutical company that's gonna make a boatload of money off of
Dramamine
motion sickness medication when the Sword Art Online game for VR becomes a reality.
I will be curious, Brian. Some of the more modern VR headsets have a bunch of stuff built in to try to prevent that motion sickness. They've been able to pinpoint a lot of what causes that motion sickness in people. They haven't been able to deal with it in everyone, but they've been able to reduce the amount of people who get motion sickness by like 90%. So
yeah, I'm hopeful. Meanwhile, I'm also just sitting here, as a fan of Star Trek, just like, when are we gonna get the holodeck? I mean, come on, come on, people.
skip VR and just go straight
to the holodeck. The ultimate. Nintendo hates its fans so much they just re-released the Virtual Boy, for fuck's sake. Like.
I love that they did that.
Yeah,
I'm never gonna buy it, but I'm glad they did it.
Everyone's like, why? I understand why. Let me rephrase that. We know why you did it, because it's part of your catalog and it's an easy thing to put onto your Nintendo Switch Online store. But why? It's literally a black and red screen with lines. You had like 15 or 16 titles for the Virtual Boy, and to even have it work, you still need to have them literally buy a separate contraption or some specific like cardboard box cutout that they have to cut out on their own to have this thing attached to your face to have it work.
Yeah, I don't know, and I don't know is all I'm gonna say about that before we trundle onward. So Season 3 is kind of where I felt that DLC was starting to finally hit its stride. Like, Riker finally grew his beard. Because Season 3, if you remember, we devoted 5 episodes to Final Fantasy in celebration of its 25th.
That was the first multi-part, right?
The first multi-part? No, there were other multi-part episodes. Okay. The first multi-part episode was actually the Dragon Quest and Zelda no, the first 2-part episode was PAX East 2011, episode 5. Because
I'm wrong.
Because we had a lot of shit to cover. It was a convention. So, but no, we devoted 5 episodes to Final Fantasy for its 25th anniversary. We had broken it up into nice, neat chunks. We had 1 through 3, then 4 through 6, then 7 through 9, and then 10 through 14, and then all of the offshoots. So what we had in 2013, and we talked about Final Fantasy XIV initially in 2013. It is now 2026, and we've gotten only 2 additional numbered entries since then.
Well,
wait,
yes,
we've gotten
no.
how many expansions have we gotten for 14?
Too many.
Count that?
Okay, hang on. While we're thinking on that, just keep in mind too that you had Final Fantasy 15 sitting in development hell for a better part of a decade during this time. It only started to get footage for it and promotion for it like 5 or 6 months after we finished up our year-long review of the Final Fantasy series.
Yep.
I mean, let's put it this way. So we only had 2 mainline titles, but we had 5 expansions for 14. We also had Final Fantasy VII Remake and Remake Part and Remake Part 2 Rebirth, which are both mainline in how much money they have to spend on them.
Yep.
So like if we're looking at it by Final Fantasies that they have spent, the amount they spend on a mainline Final Fantasy, we've got at least 4 or 5, even if you don't count the 14 expansions.
Yeah, I'm just.
No.
That was me being
I
facetious.
want more too.
Yeah, so
I want more.
It's also worth mentioning too. Like, this is during the era of Square Enix is really faffing about and going to go under multiple times during this time, and they're literally only cut the float by all the subscription money they're getting from Final Fantasy XIV.
Yep.
That's exactly right.
And at 2013, at that time, I think 11 was still. I mean, 11 might still be running.
11 is still
running
active
right now. I have people trying to convert me to go to 11 now.
Oh, okay. And if you do that, I've got a great Windows operating system for you. It's called XP. It's the latest.
Square has said they intend to keep 11 going as long as they can financially because they always want you to be able to play all of the numbered Final Fantasies.
It had, yeah. It's good.
I don't know
Like-
if they're doing any more expansions for
No.
it, but they've
They've
said
done-
that they're gonna they'll do events, they'll do crossovers, things like that.
They've-
But as long as it costs them basically next to nothing to run the servers, they're gonna keep the servers up.
They have a small team. They still do patches. Primarily, that team is for bug fixes and stuff. But when they don't have a lot of bugs to fix, they can and have worked on new content and released it. They're never going to do a new expansion for it. But like they are still getting stuff to this day.
It had something come out 2023, I think. It was like a mini series or some sort of thing they had for 11, and people were like, "What do you mean Final Fantasy 11 is still getting expansions or things like or updates? What the fuck?"
Uh-huh.
They released a big storyline during that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we had we devoted 5 episodes to Final Fantasy, and yeah, that was fun. That was a lot of fun.
And if you're not careful, me and Ron are going to make us devote another podcast episode to it right now.
Yeah, that's why we're gonna move along there. But like we had some bangers in season 3. We had the death of Nintendo Power, and so that was my good friend Doug, our own Captain N, who only typically shows up when we have a Nintendo themed episode. You had the death of Nintendo Power. We were talking about feminism in video games. We talked about fan influences. We talked about esports because that was a big thing in gaming news for a while. We had what else was in that episode? Oh no, now we're moving into season.
We had the first of the, well, not the first because we actually had the women in gaming earlier, but the more digging into it, we had the LGBT
Yes,
episode
we did,
in
right
season
toward
3.
the end of the season. Yes. In 2013.
We had a recap of the 30th anniversary of the Nintendo Entertainment System.
Yes, the NES. Oh, my first gaming love, the NES.
I mean, it holds up.
It still does. It still does. I mean, it's like if you have the Nintendo Switch Online service, you can play NES games. I mean, I do have it, but I also own a RetroPie, so that solves that problem entirely.
Yeah, that's what my Steam Deck is.
Yeah, basically. And I think that was the first season that I actually put up a designated blooper reel.
Yeah, you had outtakes, I think.
I had an outtake reel. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, see.
I fell out of that because I realized, crap, I've got shit to do. I can't be going out here digging nuggets of bloopers and outtakes. So, but now it's like we touched on some fairly serious subjects in season 3, interspersed with all of that of all that Final Fantasy. Then we plug along into season 4. In which more pack stuff. We had more anniversaries. Oh yes, I remember a subject that has only gotten a lot worse in the ensuing decade: the closure of studios.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go to the To Be a Gamer podcast.
That was also another one. That was one of our more philosophical episodes. Yeah, what does it mean to be a gamer? Please.
With everything that went on with Gamergate, that's a whole loaded subject now.
Yeah. Oh, and then we talked about the Steam Machine. Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, that was still a rumor back in the time, and it stayed a rumor, and it stayed dead for another 9 years.
Seemingly, yeah.
And then we had Steam Deck come out first.
And
Sorry,
now
no,
we
it
have
was
Steam
the Steam
Machines coming.
Now we had the actual Steam Machine coming, and now it might die again through no fault of Steam because of the
AI.
Because of AI. AI might kill Steam Machine.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, not kill Steam, kill Steam machines. Steam's still going strong.
Oh no.
Steam making it like a friend of mine told me this the other day. It's like every Steam per employee to Steam, they make like $1 million a year. The employees do, like just from maintaining it and things like that, because they just make so much money. They're like, we're gonna pay our employees to stick around.
Okay, just this. I actually wrote down a couple things on this, but when we started the podcast, Steam had around 50% of the PC game market. As of today, they hold 74% if you include first-party titles. If you don't, they hold 97% because Fortnite is weighted so heavily.
I was gonna say, I'm like, okay, which game is the kicker? It's Fortnite. Yeah, I should have known.
Yeah, but also in 2011, when we started, they had less than 2,000 games on Steam. Meanwhile, last year, 20k games were put on Steam in that 1 year.
Uh-huh.
And only 10,000 of them are smut.
Yes, and just...
I mean, people like what they like.
Again, the internet is for porn.
Yep. Yes, it is. It absolutely is. It's, there's the one thing we all have in common is smut. And so I remember, we were talking about Steam machines, and I remember, I still own mine. Do you remember the Steam Link?
Yes. I have one.
I still have mine. It's that little black box in which you hooked up to your router and you could play all of your Steam games on TV. That was the precursor. Now you have the Steam Deck, which is basically the same. It's the Valve Switch. Let's be honest. But I remember getting the Steam Link and having the ability to play my PC games on my TV. Just mind blown. Like, this is amazing. This is wonderful. I don't have to be confined to my desk. I can turn on my Steam Link and play on my TV and use my Xbox, my 360 controller. This is great.
How long do you use it for?
Quite a while, actually.
Okay, I'm curious, because, I got it, and I thought I was going to use it a lot. But here's the thing. My PC has always been, up until right about now, where it's finally not, has almost always been almost directly underneath my TV. So I realized, why am I doing this? I can just run an HDMI cable to the TV.
I was about to say,
and that's all I did.
Just run an HDMI or DisplayPort cable to your TV and then play it that way, as long as your PC isn't located 75 feet away from your main, large TV in your.
I still think it's a
game
good
room.
idea. Still think it's a good idea, and honestly, at this point, I could probably use it now that my PC is finally not near my TV. But for a long time, it was just a non-issue for me.
But what you can do now is just put your Steam Deck in the Steam dock and have that attached to your TV.
There you go.
And there you go.
Yes, but the Steam Deck isn't powerful enough for everything.
Well, fair enough. If you're playing Slay the Spire or something like that, it's fine. But if you want to play Resident Evil 9, not so much.
That's literally what I was just thinking about, because I could not get Resident Evil 9 physically because it is sold out everywhere. Everywhere. Nobody knows when they're getting it back in. So I had to make the decision, do I pick it up digitally on the PlayStation, which I don't like to do, I don't like to buy digitally on the consoles, or do I do it on Steam? But if I do it on Steam, I gotta figure out how to put it on the TV, because I want to play it on the TV, and I made the decision to just bite the bullet and pick it up on PlayStation.
Oh.
Just have to be one of the few digital games I own.
All right. Yep. I do want to play 9. I'm just not yet.
Absolutely.
Not yet, and I also want to buy a physical version of it. So,
Oh yeah, the physical versions exist. It's just they sold out. Resident Evil 9 has sold over 5 million copies in its first week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
they did not. I don't think they expected the sales they got.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Capcom's now is wise enough to know they have a product, they have a title, they have a series and an IP that people respect and like. They probably knew it was going to sell well. I don't think they realized it would have sold as much as it did in the first week because of how successful they have been with the remake series in 7 and 8. They
have
sold.
people's trust now.
Yeah, like they earned it after them fucking up for pretty much all of the last half of the 2010s and into the 2020s.
Yeah.
That's the thing. If you keep putting out quality product, people are going to be willing to, jump when you put the new thing out, but they're going to be willing that when you try something new, when you do something a bit different, if you have their trust, they're going to go with you on that. And like, maybe it won't work, but like, they will be willing to give you that shot. And I think that's a thing a lot of video game companies have forgotten.
Yeah. I agreed. Absolutely agreed. Moving on to other notable season 4 episodes. So we did the one. We did the episode in season 3. We were just talking about women in video games. Season 4, we actually had the episode "Why Video Games Need Feminism," in which we talked about feminism and Gamergate, because that was the thing. And they still need feminism, quite frankly.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite episodes from season 4, because this is this is a topic that keeps popping up even now, and that is the notion that single-player games are dying.
If anything, single-player games are healthier now than they have been in the past 10 years, probably.
Like, the second to last episode of season 4, there was this whole thing for a while, like, oh, single player is dying because we are at this point we are really starting to see online multiplayer just explode, like really explode, and that prompted some kind of sky is falling thoughts amongst gamers. Oh, where's good single player? It ain't going anywhere.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if memory serves, the onus of this was the fact that, like Brian, you'd said, was the birth and the expansion of like the MMO. You're starting to see things like Call of Duty really starting to take off during this time frame. People are like, I'm spending all my time playing Call of Duty. I'm spending all my time playing World of Warcraft. This is even before things like Fortnite came out and like Final Fantasy 14 really hit its stride and became the second biggest MMO in the current era. So people are like, outside of Metal Gear Solid and the occasional Final Fantasy, like you hadn't really had a lot of notable single player games on a AAA side.
I will disagree on a second, because I just had to look it up. This was after The Last of Us came out, which to me was where that sentiment started to flip and single player started to become a thing again.
How soon did The Last of Us come out? Was that
About a year?
Well, Last of Us is Insomniac, or I forget the studio that makes it. Last of Us as a series as a whole blew past my mind. I was like, oh, it's just
it's Naughty Dog, by the way.
Naughty Dog, thank you. Yeah, so Naughty Dog, like, I know they made good games. I knew that they were a good studio. I could see that the effort that they had spent making the game, and I'm like, congrats on you for making looks like a very good, compelling single-player game. It's not for me, because I'm not a zombie-esque, horror-esque gamer person.
I mean, I am a zombie horror, survival horror kind of person, and I still haven't played The Last of Us. I need to. I'm going to. But I still haven't. But, like, it was a phenomenon at the time.
Oh, yeah. It really is. I mean, The Last of Us is one of those games I need to get back to. It was one of those games that I started, I really enjoyed, and then life happened, and I just dropped it. And, so that's...
Funny how life happens.
Yeah, I hate when life does that. I really do. It's so annoying. So season 5. Yeah, season 5. And you guys are also looking at the master list. So if there's any episodes that you wanted to highlight, just say so before I just hijack everything.
That's fine.
So
I do appreciate that you guys do the PAX East episode every year.
I mean, I haven't done it since COVID, so, but
Well, okay.
I think that well now I know that there's several of us going to PAX East. I would like to revive that, so that might be a thing we get later this year. So,
because I don't listen to a lot of the podcast myself when I'm not on it because I am a narcissist. But I have traditionally listened to the PAX East ones because I love hearing about the experiences people have.
Yeah, there was a time like during COVID and since then where like not as many of us have gone to PAX East because, of other priorities, costs, things like that. So those kind of faded away. But there are several people I know going to PAX East this year, so I would definitely might want to be like, hey, you want to talk about it? So, but those were always fun. Season 5 was an interesting mix because we devoted multiple episodes to both the Mario franchise in celebration of its 30th anniversary. This is 2015, so now we're and we also devoted multiple episodes to the 20th anniversary of the PlayStation. Oh, so
I was gonna say that. This was when Sony was still going strong.
Yeah, I mean, yes. They still are. Oh, we were just talking about this, Veronica, because I saw it in, I think, either Game Informer or Edge recently. This was the episode where we did... You were not on this one, Veronica. We were talking... In defense of short games.
Yep. In defense... I wanted to be on that episode, and I wasn't able to make the scheduling.
Yep.
I remember that.
So we were talking about just recently, just chatting. I read an article recently, I think it was in Game Informer, where developers are, like, short games are starting to make a bit of a comeback because more and more gamers are kind of getting a little tired of, like, long epics repeating the same tropes over and over again. They're also starting to get tired of like live service games because then they want games that... I
can't imagine why.
Yeah. And now short games are kind of in again because as gamers get older, they have less time to devote, and so they want great experiences that they also have the time to play. So I just find it interesting how certain things are cyclical. There is still, you still have a section of gamers who will who see dollars versus how long the game is. And I know that's an infuriating argument for you, Veronica.
Yep, 100%. But I've talked about that on the podcast before and with you, so I won't rehash it.
Go listen to the episode.
Yes, go listen to the episode. Remember, it's all there. We did. There was some.
I'll call out. We did the Chrono Trigger 20th anniversary.
Yes, and
one of my favorite games of all time.
It's a great game. It's an absolutely great game. What the hell? We also had... Oh, that was the year that Satoru Iwata passed away. So we devoted an episode entirely to him and his importance.
Yeah. We have not had another like him, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, there was the episode, The Battle for the Past, and we were talking about... That was an episode we were talking about game preservation. We were... and the big parties for and against game preservation, because you have the one camp which says, this is history, we need to preserve our history, and you have another camp that says, no, don't preserve, that's piracy.
These are products, and we get to control our products, and we don't want want to put them in front of you because that is going to cannibalize sales from our newer games.
Or us putting them on the eShops, the digital shops, like Nintendo has been doing for the past 7 or 8 years, where it's like, don't buy the physical copy of this old game, buy it on the Nintendo Switch shop. You can pay a decent chunk of change for a, in theory, old game.
For 20 years, we're talking about the virtual console for the Wii. I mean,
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
so yeah, and so I'm like, oh, good, yeah, because I'm sure Nintendo and the rights holders who own the game, like Karnov, are still making we're still making buku dollars over that.
This is an evergreen topic, and we are going to be talking about it for years.
Yes.
Yeah. So random bit of thing, I saw recently that one of the video game historical museum groups acquired the hardware for the Sony the Nintendo
Yep.
Super Nintendo Sony PlayStation conversion CD thing.
The Nintendo PlayStation is generally what it's referred to.
Yes, thank you. So then, yeah, someone acquired that, and they have the actual physical copy, which might be the only one in existence, and they acquired it, and they've gotten it, and like, I don't know if they tried to see if it works still or not, but they have the only one made, I believe, in their historical archives.
So I can do a little bit more for that. So there are at least 4 of them that were known, but 3 of them are in private collections. Okay. This is the only one that is owned in a way that they are making public. They have been able to get it to play games. There's a demo that they have, and I think they had one other game that they were able to get, obviously unfinished, but so yes, they have been able to. In fact, there's already an emulator written up for it.
Of course there is.
Because when one of the major people who runs the foundation makes emulators, it was really easy for him to just add it on to one of the Super Nintendo emulators.
Well,
And
yeah, well, it's also the thing too. Is like the reason why this is important is because there's these test systems. You have like Sony and Xbox and Nintendo send out like general boxes of hardware parts, being like, here's the approximate specs of what our next generation console is going to be, and people knew. And this is like the modern day equivalent of finding the Atari consoles or the Atari cartridges in the desert, which we thought was a myth, but there was photographic evidence of it, and we eventually found them, both as a peripheral attachment and the cartridges. those freaking ET games.
yeah, this is basically gaming's equivalent of possessing like one of those T206 Honus Wagner baseball cards. It's like, whoa, you have an actual piece of gaming history right here. Don't fuck up. It's
Yeah, you're holding one of the 10 Commandments. It's like the actual biblical 10 Commandments.
I bring
Don't
these
drop the
15.
The 15!
10 commandments for all to obey. Yes, that's exactly it. Thank you both.
Oh, so I see something I don't recognize on here.
Thank you, Mel Brooks, for being part of
something called. Sorry, you did something on an episode called E3. Can anybody tell me what that is? I don't remember that being around anymore.
Oh, some old relic. Some old relic that got too big for its britches and then everyone abandoned. So, you know.
Well, I think COVID kind of killed it too.
Also that. It also, but, you know. Great
it was dying before COVID, but that...
It was dying long before that, but COVID was the final nail, probably.
Great big convention, the end.
I was just being smart.
I want to briefly mention too. The end of one of the last episodes of season 5 is games and other media, which would obviously include like video game ones, video games made into movies, and we've seen that continue onward since then, both in good forms and bad forms.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, like Fallout, The Last of Us, like video games have been doing real good in alternative media right now.
I mean, yes. I mean, we've got whole ass popular streaming television series. You just mentioned some. I literally just saw the latest Silent Hill movie a month ago. Mm-hmm. And also
we have a very good Super Mario Brothers movie that came out a couple years ago, with another one coming out soon.
Yes.
We have a Street Fighter movie coming out again that looks campy as all hell in the best way form, and I can't wait to see it.
Oh, and speaking of campy, Mortal Kombat. The Mortal Kombat film franchise got a reboot, and the second movie in that reboot is coming out soon. With Carl Urban playing Johnny Cage, and I'm like, there's an older Johnny Cage, and I'm like, oh, there's a choice.
The casting looks amazing.
Yes, and we're talking. Yeah,
we got 3 Sonic movies.
Yeah,
stellar Sonic movies.
Really good Sonic movies. And not to mention, like, not only when we were that episode was largely focused on movies and TV shows, but also books, novels, graphic novels. I had to have mentioned
the Resident Evil ones are so good.
Yeah, I had to have mentioned the BioShock prequel novel in that episode. That's one of my favorite video game related books, which is I tried reading Atlas Shrugged. I was so curious. I'm like, okay, I want to read the literary inspiration for BioShock, so I started reading Atlas Shrugged. I think I got about halfway through when I threw the book against the wall out of pure disgust and went, I've read enough.
Yeah.
Sounds about right. So
it made a nice dent in the wall. It was, it's a heavy book, but
I'll say it has worth as a blunt bludgeoning object.
It absolutely does. It's definitely 1d4 worth of damage.
But I'll definitely go, like, the Resident Evil novels by S.D. Perry, like, holy, like, I adore those novels.
Oh yeah, I've got them all.
Yeah, they are. I have not read the novelization of 6. Is it any better than the game?
I don't think S.D. Perry did one for 6.
Did they? I thought 6 is where it ended. I could be wrong. I might be misremembering.
Yeah, I don't recall a novel. I mean, there could be one out there, but I do not recall it. And Resident Evil 6, I've locked out of my memory, so it's.
I probably misremembering. I thought that they'd adapted up to 6, and then that's where it ended. And now we have 7, 8, 9. This whole thing. But I could just be misremembering.
But no, the games and other media, that was absolutely a fun episode. Then the one immediately after that, Ron, the test of time, games that aged well or not well. Games that did not age well, the entire PS1 catalog.
A good chunk of the PS2 catalog.
Shut your mouth.
Well.
I think a lot of the PlayStation 1 games did not age well graphically, but there are a lot of them that still hold up gameplay-wise.
Oh yes, they absolutely do. I'm just you try playing a PS1 game on a current TV, and oh god, your eyes.
Just as a comparison, because it is the most recent example people are probably familiar with. Try playing original Final Fantasy VII on a PS1, and then play Final Fantasy VII Remake on a current console, and you're gonna go, "What the hell were they doing back in 1996?"
It was a dark time, Ron. It was a dark time, Ron. That was back in the days of 480p.
I know. 1940p 40i.
40i. Thank you. Yes.
And hey, that was the 100th episode that you guys recorded.
Yes, it was. The 99th aired because we did not air that Kirby one.
So, and it kind of keep going with this topic too of, like, you see a lot of these games from the Super Nintendo, PS1, Nintendo 64 era kind of get updates and remakes and get referenced to in some fashion. Like I said, recently, just like Resident Evil and Final Fantasy are the biggest ones, obviously, but you've still seen other remakes like Crash Bandicoot, I think, got a...
And Spyro.
And
Yes.
Spyro, yeah.
Yep. Then they got a nice polish. The game I just finished streaming on Twitch, Turok 2. You know, they did what they could because it was originally an N64 game, but graphically, yes, you can tell it's still an older game, but it is worlds improved from its N64 look.
I thought it looked fine. I do not have the awareness of what it originally looked like, but from seeing on your stream, I thought it looked fine.
Oh yeah, no, the remaster looked great. I have the cartridge, and on my N64, and I tried playing it. I'm like, because I don't
a little too crunchy for you.
I don't have a CRT anymore, so I'm like, God, this is atrocious.
Yeah, when this is for the kids, CRTs blended the pixels together, so you had a nice shading effect applied to a lot of the things.
I'm probably the only person who prefers most old games off of a CRT. I didn't like the effect at the time, and the moment that I got a modern television and started playing games on it, I'm like, oh, this looks so much better. Meanwhile, everybody around me is like, nice!
Yeah, it just like they're even like I remember trying to play a Wii game. This is after I'd gotten like my first HD TV. I tried to play a game on the Wii called The Last Story, and just I know that the Wii was not, it was not an HD console, but trying to play a lot of those games was just like, oh, there's a reason why sprite-based games still look so good, because they weren't trying for realism. But
I mean, I will go stylized almost always ages better. That's part of why Wind Waker still looks so good.
Yeah, it's a thing. So we've gone through basically the first 100 or so episodes, and we're well over an hour. So how do we feel about cutting to break right here?
Sounds good.
Sounds like a good idea.
All right, so we're just going to continue along on our waxing nostalgia. We are celebrating us here on DLC and 200 episodes of this, again, very fine, sophisticated program. You'll have some music, and when we return, more of this. We'll be back. Welcome back to episode number 200 of DLC. We are still here basking in our own glory because, you know, I think we're allowed to do that from time to time. Look back and marvel at what we've done. It's only 15 years of stuff. We don't do it very often. So we're shining the light on us and all of this history. So, you know, we just looking back at 15 years of this and wondering, dear God, what have we done? But so far it's I'm liking this trip down memory lane. And with that, we move into season 6. We move into 2016, in which we had, you know, a multiple part Pokemon 20th anniversary in there. We were talking an issue
Gotta
that
catch 'em most.
Yeah, and something that keeps up, and again, we mentioned this in the first half time and time again, you know, nostalgia. The first episode of season 6 was, you know, Pixel Glory. That's what it was called. Yeah. It was the retro revival, which is still going on.
It's also sitting on my shelf.
Yes, as is mine. Pixel Glory being the name of a board game that I lovingly stole the name from. So, you know.
It's a good name.
It's a very good name. I thought it worked. I thought it worked very well.
What was this is just my curiosity because I was not on this and I didn't listen to it. What was Polarizing Games?
Oh, that was Polarizing / Controversial Games. Let me pull up the description of that. What was it? Developers are starting to utilize storylines and plot elements not typically found in games. Depression, anxiety, LGBT issues, death, racism, among others. Some feel that such divisive and controversial subjects have no place in games. But should they? And what's the aim? So that was my description of it as I have written it on the website. So we were starting to for that episode we were typically starting to look into, because this was something that was going on in indie games and still is.
Hey, so my kind of games.
Yeah. So
like you just listen to everything I play.
Yeah. So these were topics that were being far more explored in indie games and still are. Like, this was 2016 when we did this episode, and, you know, now we're talking games that deal with a lot of heavy subjects. You know, a lot of mental health subjects, again, depression, racism.
Life is Strange, one of my favorites.
Yep, there you go. Celeste.
Yep.
So that was what that episode was about. Talking about, you know, these heavy tropes that were starting to become more utilized in storytelling in a video game in ways that we really hadn't seen a whole lot of up to that point.
You know, some of us also having an opportunity to properly explore and talk about and present opinions of these topics in a more quote-unquote modern setting compared to the technology available to people in the prior years.
Yes. And to further that point along, just again, as the technology improves, as our gaming technology improves, more and more developers are finding ways to tell stories in ways that they couldn't with earlier generations of gaming technology. Just we didn't have the ability for it.
I mean, this sounds like a lot of games that would be up for Games for Impact, which I don't know if that award was a thing back then.
Video Game Awards was not a thing yet at this time.
Yeah, I didn't think it was.
Yeah, in 2016, I do think so.
I don't remember when it started up, though, so...
Well, that's why we have the internet.
Yeah, I'll look it up now.
We have Lord Wikipedia. But, no, that was...
2014.
Oh!
Yeah, I was going to say, it was a thing.
Okay. Well, there you go. Thank you, internet.
You know, like still, the internet is still useful. It's not just for porn or AI slop. It is useful for actual factual information.
It's for porn, but it is for other things in addition.
Educational porn. There you go. Educational porn.
I was gonna say we got shoot 'em ups. We did one on that. I have a question.
Yes.
This would be before it, but would you guys count like Vampire Survivors under shoot 'em ups? Because if so, that's a whole subgenre that has exploded since this episode.
I don't really I haven't really played much of those, so I have no opinion.
So
They're general.
Shoot 'em ups in the past were usually left to right or top to bottom to top, progressing across the screen, either yourself or the camera automatically moving along with you, and you're stringing things up along the way to an eventual like progression point, end point, whatever.
Oh, I'm aware. I played a lot of them when I was.
I know. I'm just like more so just feel like this is the definition to what we defined back then.
Okay.
Yep. So
Putting it in a modern day lens, I would say Vampire Survivors and that ilk are indeed shoot 'em ups.
Like I know a lot of people refer to them as reverse bullet hell games. Because
Yes, that would be
bullet hell, just you're shooting everything out.
or the enemies are shooting everything at you, like see Ikaruga. But no, and it's funny that we're talking about this episode. You were talking about shoot 'em ups in the most recent issue of Edge. They were talking about the sort of the revival of shoot 'em ups, which I think is just absolutely again. This is all cyclical.
I'm glad to see any of the old genres come back and make a revival.
Like, look at Shredder's not. The article was like a combination shoot 'em up and beat 'em up. So I mean, it was that the article was more geared toward like game. We had like recent games, Shredder's Revenge, Streets of Rage 4, like the game that really sort of, we're talking about beat 'em ups. The game that's sort of the most recent example, like the game that sort of kicked off a new round of that genre. I mean, you look at Castle Crashers.
Yep, 100%. I mean, that's a really interesting thing to see that's changed since we started. When the podcast started, I feel like, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, if you think I'm wrong, that couch co-op had basically died by the time the podcast had started. And it's been really interesting the last, 4 or 5 years to watch as indie developers have brought couch co-op back.
Gonna add.
Well, couch co-op it died, but also it died in the past because everything at the time was focused on you have to connect to the internet. You have to connect to the internet. You
Online multiplayer.
Yeah, online multiplayer. It wasn't until Castle Crashers, the original version, but then you start seeing more modern ones like Shredder's Revenge, Streets of Rage 4.
Yeah.
So that being like, I want to play with my friends. I want to play with my friends in this game, but all we have to play with is Metal Slug and these old beat 'em up games from the arcade cabinets that we're playing on emulators. Why can't I play a more modern version with modern aesthetics to that? And then you start seeing these companies putting them out, and they're selling well.
Yeah. Say things I was thinking stuff like Overcooked, stuff like It Takes Two. There's been a big resurgence in that.
Yeah, the Split Fiction is the most recent.
Split Fiction
is this is a game that requires 2 players, I think.
Mm-hmm. It does.
And even some games that were initially single player now have couch co-op playability. Untitled Goose Game.
That's how me and Deja played it. It was 2-player and it was wonderful.
Untitled Goose Game, that is such an amazing game. That was the game that got me to Twitch affiliate because I had such a massive audience watching me play it. But yeah, and I just jotted that down as a possible episode for future, for the resurgence of couch co-op. So thank you.
You're welcome.
That's because also now you have to pay for online multiplayer. If you want to play online multiplayer for PlayStation, you have to get a PS Plus subscription. The Nintendo Switch, you have to get a Nintendo Switch Online subscription. It's $20 a year for Nintendo, but that's still an expense.
I think Xbox is the only one that doesn't require you to pay for its basic multiplayer,
as well as Steam. If you were playing a game off.
Yes.
But yeah,
I mean, in the console space.
Yes, in the console space, it's just people, I mean, with people, it's been a few years now, but, COVID isolated, we isolated heavily, and now, more and more people are like, that sucked. I don't want to do that again. So, So
to kind of pick up on this too, before we cap it off, is like, most recently, Riot released their fighting game 2SKO, and they said like, hey, we're going to be adding couch co-op to it too, because they have a 2v2 option where you can have two players play against another two players, and like we're going to be adding that to our game, and like this is the thing that a fighting game can take major advantage of, is like even the 1v1 aspect of like being able to play locally with friends. Like it's such a important thing in the history of gaming that was thrown aside with the advent of multiplayer and online gaming, that seeing it come back now in fighting games is such a simple, like, duh, why did you not do this sooner sort of thing.
I completely agree. Like, all three of us here, we remember fondly the days of couch co-op, because that's what we grew up with. Those older pre-internet consoles, that's what we had. Like, that was a thing. And then it went away. It went away with the advent of the online multiplayer and games in which internet connections were required, even for single-player games. I'm looking directly at you, BioWare and EA.
I also remember the arcades.
ONG! Arcades, are those still a thing? Yes, they are.
They're rare, but they still exist.
They still exist, especially Barcade in New York City. Oh, I love you. I love you so much. They're bigger in a lot of other countries. Like Japan still straight up has arcades, less than they did back during their height, but like they still have arcades that you can just find regularly. Like we kind of have they're rarer here, but there are a lot of places that they're more common, and it's why arcade games are probably never going to stop being made. Oh yeah, and just now we have a generation of gamers. We have a younger generation of gamers who didn't grow up with couch co-op the way we did, who might be experiencing this for the first time, and might be, what is this? What's this? What's this? There's gaming everywhere, but it's just, with apologies to Danny Elfman.
There's salt in the air.
Because I want to be able to ruin friendships in person. Like, it's
remember, you never look at the other person's screen.
No, you never do.
Cheating.
That's yes. We explored a bunch of different genres though in season 6. We did we did shoot 'em ups, we did puzzle games, we devoted an episode to survival horror.
That was a good one with Shauna.
That was, yes, because we covered a bunch of different survival horror games there.
2 episodes to Pokemon, talked about PC gaming as a whole.
Yes, the PC Master Race.
Then we talked about Dungeons and Dragons and seeing that incorporated into video games.
Yes.
Oh, did we not see Baldur's Gate 3 on the horizon?
No, we didn't. and Elden Ring, which is basically.
Before we go any further, I just wanted to point out, on the master list, what the hell, Nintendo? A Nintendo rant brought to you by Ron Goldie. I know Brian's on the podcast and he's just not listed because he doesn't list himself, but in my brain, it is just Ron on a monologue.
I mean, we both might have been for that episode because I remember that, because we were talking. So at that point, 2016, we have the Switch at this point.
I'm guessing this is when they were suing emulators and stuff.
Yes, this is when they were taking pages out of Disney's book and just threatening legal action and suing anyone who dared to make a fan project, anyone who so much as enjoyed a video game in a way, Lord Nintendo didn't approve of. It was also, I think we were ranting because they were neglecting some major franchises. Star Fox, Metroid.
Hey, at least one of those came back.
So yeah, no, it was
it's
a
also
rant.
worth mentioning too that the Switch had not come out yet. It had been announced. We had seen
Yes.
promotion for it. It had not come out yet.
Yep.
And so one of the things we were talking about was like, let's see Nintendo taking advantage of the fact that they have a quote unquote modern hardware. We did not know how bad that hardware was at the time, but we knew it was thought it was like modern hardware at the time. And like, hey, leverage the fact that you have an online shop. Leverage the fact that it was the 21st century and start putting some of your old catalog games on the shop for you to make money off of again.
Let's say the whiplash between episode 15, What the Hell Nintendo, and episode 16, the Nintendo Switch hype train.
we had to temper Ron and our white hot rage.
Which, I mean, I know I remember being really positive in that episode, and I'll be honest, the Switch blew even my expectations out of the water.
Oh, it blew everyone's expectations out of the water. My goodness.
Like it is single-handedly, like, it's probably my favorite console of all time.
I mean, yes, they killed the separate handheld industry by doing it, but
they finally delivered on the promise of a hybrid console, which different companies had toyed with before, and we got a little taste of with the Wii U, where it would let you take stuff on the tablet, but it still had to be within, certain distance, and I can't imagine it any other way now.
At the time we said it was killing the handheld console. I feel like, given retrospective and more thought in how successful the Switch came, I think it didn't kill the handheld console. It ended up promoting it into being a valid primary source of gaming.
Yeah, and also we were worried that they were going to.
I'll say,
and then you go ahead.
Yeah. So and then eventually, given the improvement of technology, we are now seeing the Steam Deck, the Ally ROG, a bunch of these portable, strong, like high technology systems designed around being portable, so you can play fairly modern games on it, like fairly challenging games on some of these decidedly handheld consoles.
I mean, they're putting Final Fantasy Requiem. Resident Evil Requiem is on the Switch too, and it plays well. Like, I would not have even imagined that during the Switch's time.
Supposedly, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth plays amazingly on Switch 2 as well. And like, just telling someone, imagine if Final Fantasy VII Remake or Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on a Nintendo Switch 2, they're going to tell you the console costs either $1,000 or you're on some really good drugs and I need some right now.
One of my worries from when the Nintendo Switch was announced was that it was going to cannibalize the handheld market of developers, but not increase the amount of games. Basically, that we're taking console, we're taking handheld, and now we just have one console, but we're not doubling the amount of games that available on that console, because then there would be a glut. And I was worried that that's the way it was going to go, that we were just going to get less games now than if we had two separate systems. And I am incredibly glad to have been proven wrong, because the Switch has a freaking huge library.
Yes. Obviously there are people who mourn the death of the designated handheld market, because, that's what the Switch did. But, leave it to Nintendo to create something new and then have everyone else try to copy it, because, that's just the nature of the industry. Meanwhile, Sega's over here going, hey, Sega, who figured out how to backlight a handheld system a decade before Nintendo did, and yet, you see how that ended up. But
also figured out how to create a hybrid system going the other direction with a handheld that you can just put your basic Master System games into.
Yep. Sega was just always decades too early or too late.
Yep. Continuing with our Nintendo, though, we had the GameCube 15th anniversary as well.
Yep. We had that the good old lunchbox that was the GameCube, and I still own my Wii because I still want a system to play my GameCube games on. I mean, I do still return to Eternal Darkness from time to time.
That's the thing. Now once they gave us the Wii, I couldn't see going back to using the GameCube.
Oh no, I gave mine to my sister when I got the Wii, so there was that. So the last episode of season 6 that was interesting, and I'm impressed to see how this has grown. Console to tabletop. So it's board game adaptations of video games, which has only gotten more.
Yeah, you're seeing it with not just consoles games too, but you have other indie games and indie titles that get ported over to tabletop games and fairly faithfully. You also see the reverse of it, where you've seen some board games that are fairly convoluted get ported in onto like Tabletop Simulator and their own dedicated video game, like quote unquote video game versions that play it's faithfully to the paper as one as they can.
Say Stardew Valley, Darkest Dungeon. Well, this has always been there. We played a great Sonic one. There's so many. If I just bought a version of each of a game that I enjoy and just bought their board game, I could fill an entire shelf over there.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm looking at my board game shelf right now, and I see Sonic Roll. I see the 3 Resident Evil board games: Darkest Dungeon, Shovel Knight. And then you have, board games that are heavily inspired by video games, like Boss Monster, Pixel Glory. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, and this has only grown. I mean, you just said it, board games, you're going in the reverse direction. So you have a bunch of digital Gloomhaven. I don't know if either of you have ever played Gloomhaven. Spirit Island. Terraforming Mars. Like, all of these crunchy games that have digital versions. And a lot of them with online multiplayer capability and cross-platform capability. Like Wingspan is one of them. So
it is. I mean, it's definitely helped by the fact that we are kind of in a board game renaissance at this point.
Yeah, we are.
And that is wonderful, and it means there's a lot more space for these kinds of games and a lot more people who are getting into the hobby that might want something familiar, something that they've already maybe played before as a video game, and, see how it adapts into a board game. Like, that seems very smart.
Yeah, it really is. So, it's... And again, all you have to do is go to any board game convention, and you can see this for yourself. Like, go to PAX Unplugged in Philly, and you'll see what I mean. So we then traipse into season 7, and oh yeah, there's that Kirby episode. I just did it 5 years later. Nick and I basically redid it, but we added an extra 5 years to it. The era of vaporware. Oh, that was fun. That was a fun one. Entirely inspired by Square, I feel.
A lot of Square, but I mean, I assume Duke Nukem was probably part of that.
Oh, I think so. Yeah, the games that suffer very, very long dev times.
This was also a problem where we didn't know it at the time, but now we kind of know it now, where a lot of these games suffered major development setbacks just from changing hardware, changing systems, changing the developer, changing producers, them just faffing about and blowing literal years worth of development time, not knowing what the hell they were doing or what direction they were going.
Yeah. I remember making a joke that Hollow Knight Silksong was also vaporware, because I'm like, oh, where are we on? 6 years, 7 years it took for Team Cherry to put that out. Like, is this game coming out ever? And then it did, and oh god. And that's all I'll say about it because, spoilers. Oh, we had in season 7. Oh, Ron, you guest hosted the Final Fantasy 15 episode. That was Final Fantasy Boy Band Simulator.
Yeah, because that had finally been released the past November, I believe, and we were able to sit down and play it and spend some time ruminating on it, deciding upon how we liked it or didn't like it, and like, hey, the game finally came out, fantastic! Let's roast it alive.
Yes, you just Mystery Science Theater the hell out of it. It was, and it's a game. It's a Final Fantasy I still have not finished. Like, I started it and I spent like 5 hours in, and I kind of got bored and dropped it. But yeah, I might have been in the minority there. But that was kind of when I realized that okay, I am no longer the target demographic for Final Fantasy anymore. Because this series has drifted far and away from what I enjoy about the series. That was when I was starting to make my peace of, okay, not every game is made for me. So sad.
Yeah, this is a game that Deej and I have very complex feelings for, because we like the characters a lot, and I think it's a decent game up to a certain point, and then it goes off the rails real fucking quick. And that is disappointing. I wish I could see what their original vision was for it. But as it was, it's definitely not one of the best Final Fantasies they've done.
Well, it's also a thing too of when Final Fantasy 15 came out, there were visible complaints people had that we should have been able to have solved. They just didn't do it. Now they got around to eventually fixing some of those problems with the Royal Edition, where they had some downloadable content, they had some extra story expansions, let you swap between the characters. Like, they solved some of those problems and some of those complaints, and they explained some things more. But this was also a game that you could tell had some really heavy, deep, ingrained, cannot be removed development issues, engineering issues that just could not get removed in time for publishing, and they just tried to fix it as best they can afterwards.
So, was this the first time you hosted, Ron?
No.
Okay. I was trying to look that up a second ago, and I was like, oh, I don't see any other ones, so I figured I'd ask.
I believe I hosted another one, like season 4.
Yeah, I'll go back and look it up, but that was not your first time guest hosting. Let's see. Season 7 was definitely Nintendo flavored, because there were several episodes in there which we talked about the Switch. Like we had the hype train at the end of season 6. Then season 7, the start of it was new info on Switch, and then the Switch came out early that year, and then 7th episode of season 7, we had Ron, Nick, and Ben and myself. We were all first impressions of Switch, and then the end of season 7 was a Switch recap. So that was
it's the Switch season.
It was the Switch season, but there were some other ones in there, like The Long Game. That was the episode where the games we couldn't beat as kids. That was a fun one.
You mean most of them for me.
Yeah.
I've finally been going back and beating some of my childhood games. We also had the Final Fantasy VII 20th anniversary.
Yes, we did, and that was a 3-parter. That one was like, oh, good, I've got enough material here so I could do 3 individual distinct parts. So yeah, that one. That was fun, because Final Fantasy VII for me was my first Final Fantasy, so I had thoughts. It's still a game that holds. It's still a game that holds a special place in my heart as basically not only my first Final Fantasy, but my first JRPG. And so yeah,
it's definitely not a bad one to start on.
There's playing it now. Oh, there's a lot of flaws in that game. I look at the story and I'm playing through the game and I'm just like, what do you care? What are you people doing? But it's
there's also a thing too that during the Final 7 recap episode, we finally started getting news of them officially starting to do a remake of Final Fantasy VII.
Because for years it had just been rumors and whispers. Like, this was something that the fans really, really wanted and were trying to manifest for years.
Yeah, and then we had the tech demo for showing off the PS3's graphics, being like, here's an example of what Final 7 could look like in quote-unquote, at the time, modern-day graphics.
Yeah, and that was red meat. That was pure red meat.
And then finally we get the reveal trailer of being like, we are doing a proper remake. This is a thing we're going to be spending a lot of time on. We are spending a lot of money on this. This is going to take some time, but yes, we are doing it. And this is probably one of the first times you start seeing the internet like lose its goddamn mind upon seeing the trailer for this, the reveal trailer for it.
Yeah,
it was probably one of the biggest moments in like gaming media was that announcement.
Yeah, when did they actually formally announce the remake? I don't remember.
It was at a convention. I don't remember which one. I'm gonna Google it real quick.
Yeah, you do that because
it was I think it was the PlayStation Experience of 2017.
Because I don't remember when the remake was actually formally announced. Because there were so many cock teases.
E3 in 2015.
Okay, so it was actually so it was formally announced at that point, and
I think it was teased in 2015, but the first trailer for it was 2017.
Yep. Okay. So according, yes, you found it, Veronica. According to Lord Wikipedia, it was officially announced during Sony's conference at E3 2015. But it was 2017 where the first actual piece of art. So yeah, that was 2017. We were finally the fans were gonna get what they had been wanting forever, seemingly, and you could hear the great cry in the live stream.
Oh, good.
It's so yes, and then we had the E3 episode, and then good, another episode we were talking about nostalgia. This time, nostalgia the enemy, where we had a school of thought amongst gamers that all this nostalgia and all this cash grabbing for nostalgia was terrible for the industry.
It was self-destructive, yeah.
Yeah, so, there's that. A discussion which is still being had, especially in light of all of these newer remakes coming out. So... cyclical!
I remember that episode. It was, obviously you, but it was me and Ron. I remember us kind of going at it during it.
Like, okay! And then, of course, there was the Fallout episode, which I did not... I think Gabe was the guest host for that, because... my experience with Fallout back in 2017 and still is like the first hour of the original game. So, yeah, that was that.
I have since tried to play the original game because once the Fallout TV show came out, I was like, well, you want to know what? Maybe this is my excuse to get into Fallout. And I spent an hour or two in the original game, and I spent an hour or two in the original game. That's all I did. Yep,
that's all you did. Moving into Season 8, it begins right off the bat with Veronica's favorite game. That was we...
Absolutely.
Yeah, filled. So we're going to start Season 8 right away with Undertale, and, me talking about how I was, getting crucified by the fandom for saying that it was a meh game. How dare you!
But then we also had romance in video games.
Oh yes, that was the all whited episode. That was the
me and my lovely wife.
Yep.
And I do not remember that episode even a little bit.
Clearly, you were too love-struck.
Oh, yes, naturally.
You were absolutely, you were in awe.
But we come back to another subject we seem to just continually be coming back to, DLC, microtransactions, loot boxes, and free-to-play.
Oh, good lord. That was an addendum episode to the original pay-to-play episode, which I think was back in season 1 or 2.
And I'll be completely honest, there's been enough bullshit that's happened since then. You could probably do a part 3 at this point.
I probably could. And that episode was Ron's 100th episode. So, still the only one to reach triple digits. So,
I mean, other than you, Brian.
Other than you?
Other than me, yes. Though,
I'm curious. How many episodes have you not been on, Brian? Because I know there's been 1 or 2 that you've dipped on because you weren't familiar with the franchise.
I know there was one like Final Fantasy 14 episode where all I was doing was just the record. So
yeah, I know 14. You just mentioned Fallout. I wasn't sure if there were any others.
I feel like Brian's dipped out on 5 or 10 of them.
Yeah,
where he's basically been there to do the introduction, reading, and outros, and that's about it.
Yeah, there's been a few of them. So, something that was new in 2018 that is now kind of standard in gaming. Cross-platform play. Remember in 2018 when this was a novel idea?
When it was something that should have always been there and everyone wanted, but seemed so impossible.
Yeah, because money. Duh.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how...
But for once, what's best for gamers actually won out.
Funny that. And now you have talk of Sony wanting to go back to console exclusivity. And I'm like, don't think that's going to be a winning strategy in this day and age, Sony. I mean, Nintendo seems to be about the only company that can get away with that shit, because the day Mario shows up on a non-Nintendo console is the last horseman of the apocalypse.
Nintendo gets away with it because of the fact that they generally usually, not always, but usually put out quality games on their proprietary system.
Oh yeah.
So people are fine with it because it's part and parcel. Like, you're buying a Nintendo game, you're buying a Nintendo console because you're also buying it for the Nintendo games that are come out eventually on that console.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, we've talked about this before. I'm of the opinion that if there aren't console exclusives, then there's no point to having consoles as opposed to PCs. So I don't want to see exclusivity go away entirely, unless we're just going to be moving away from consoles entirely, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah,
It's also a problem. It's a problem that Xbox is facing nowadays too, because they've spent so much of their time and energy of putting their games on Xbox, but also day one on PC, that you're seeing no one buying an Xbox console because it's going to be on PC.
Yep, they proved my point. I argued this for decades with people that if you went and put all of your exclusives on PC, your console, you're still going to make the sales off the games, but the sales in your console are going to decline. You have to accept that. And I think Xbox has basically proven that point, and Sony doesn't want to end up where Microsoft currently is when it comes to gaming.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, so many of Sony and Microsoft's games wind up on PC. That proves your point. It's like, because I don't buy a console unless there's enough of a library for me to justify the cost. But if they're all going to come out on PC, then it's like, why?
Then why? Like, you buy Nintendo because you know you're never going to get those anywhere else. So once there's a certain number of them, it becomes worthwhile. But with Xbox and PlayStation, if they're putting everything over, there's no reason to.
Yeah, I mean, there was a good several years where my gaming setup was basically PC and whatever the current Nintendo console was. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't buy a PS4 until I bought your used one, and that was at the end of the PS4's life cycle.
that's when I picked up my PS5.
Yeah. And then I wound up buying a PS5 because I'm like, oh, backwards compatible with PS4. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that basically proves your point. But the idea of cross-platform play, I see this a lot in the digital board games. And for a long time, and even now, Sony still really doesn't like the idea of cross-platform play. They really struggle with that. There's been some games in which they've allowed that, but on the whole, they're not big fans. They're not
cross. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, they're not big fans. But as you earlier said, cross-platform is so good for gamers as a whole, because if I have a game on one platform and you have a game on a different platform, why and the ability to play online multiplayer exists, why are you going to put up an arbitrary wall saying that no, you can't do cross-platform? It makes no sense, at least from a consumer perspective.
Crossplay, I get the debate that was going on, especially when it came to online first-person shooters, in that people with mouse and keyboard generally have an advantage over console players. So I get the concept of, okay, at least siloing the consoles against the PC. I'm glad we've even moved beyond that largely, due to improvements with consoles. But I at least understood that. But there's no reason that the consoles shouldn't have been cross-play to begin with, other than greed.
Yes. I've always, business logic and consumer logic make no sense.
It's the exact same concept of having the blue bubble versus the green bubble on iPhones to try to get you to shame your friends into getting an iPhone.
Which I still will never get. I will never own an iPhone. I'm sorry. Everyone in my family has an iPhone. I don't need to be that accessible.
Fair enough.
No, absolutely not.
I say I had an iPhone way back towards the beginning of an iPhone 3 or something, and it was nothing special, and I went back to Android and never went back.
Yeah, so yeah. There were also, we were talking about other serious stuff in Season 8, like Episode 10 in Season 8, Forced Obsolescence.
Oh.
You guest hosted that, Veronica.
I did indeed, and I'll be honest, I'm pretty sure that episode is just as relevant today as it was back then.
Oh, probably even more so.
If anything, it's more relevant, considering the current hellhole that we're living in of the AI bubble.
If anything, we just have more and more we could have talked about. Oh, man.
One thing I feel like we're mentioning, not related to obsolescence, but something that we, as gamers as a whole, that we not talk about and probably should have given at least a little bit of spotlight on, is this is when Fortnite came out and had its started taking off. And this was a genre of a game we did not play. Not a lot of us were shooter people as a whole. We saw Fortnite and saw the stylized graphics and okay, looks interesting, this looks simple, looks like anyone can play it. But I'm not a fan of the building aspect. We're not shooters, so we're not going to be ones that particularly enjoy the DayZ, PUBG gameplay. So we didn't really got into it, but we didn't even really mention it during this season.
No.
And this is probably one of the biggest oversights we as a podcasting group have, where we did not at least give enough recognition of Fortnite being this thing took off. This thing took over the world. It's still kind of ruining society in some fashion. You can't tell someone that you tell them you're gonna drop into what is the town in Fortnite, the city landscape,
I don't know.
To prove my point of how we're not Fortnite players.
But that's the thing of it. It is very true looking back through all of this, that we as a group, and I'm talking about just like all the people we have on this, do have biases towards certain genres that we talk about more than others, because that's stuff that was big during our childhoods or things that we got heavily into as adults. And some things passed us by. This being a major example of that.
But, I mean, to further Ron's point, and agreed, yeah. To further Ron's point, like you see now, you know, Fortnite came out in 2017. Jesus Christ, it's been 9 years.
Keep in mind, Fortnite, the game, original base game, came out in 2017. The PUBG side of it wasn't until like March or April, I think.
I'm just
2018.
Because we are constantly, or at least I'm constantly seeing like sponsorship deals and crossovers, like from other IPs into Fortnite.
It's one of the biggest games of period. Like, it's one of the most played games, period, at least if you're looking at America.
Yeah, and to expand upon that too, Fortnite, and then given the past 4 or 5 years, Roblox are the two biggest gaming things to have emerged in the past 10 years. We've basically ignored both of them.
Yes.
I mean, at the very least, Roblox, we can go, it's definitely heavily marketed towards a younger demographic than we are.
Yes,
so it's
definitely.
not that surprising.
It's definitely marketed for a younger demographic, but there's also a lot of problems with Roblox that we cannot get into. It should be another episode by itself. Is the good and the bad, and the absolute shit show that Roblox is.
Well, I'll just jot that on my copy of the master list as a possible episode suggestion. I'll write that down.
That's going to be dark.
And that Roblox Spawn of Satan. There we go. We're just going to add that to the possible idea. The possible idea machine, because yeah, you're exactly right, Veronica. We're going to spend more time because of the nature of the panelists that are on each episode, and because, you know, we're all elder millennials. You know, we're getting close to that Mylanta and Geritol part of our lives. Things like Fortnite and Roblox and other genres, we just don't touch. I mean, I just don't. I tried to get into Fall Guys when that was a thing, and is it still a thing? Like, is that or
it is?
Okay. Like,
I've played it in Final Fantasy XIV. They crossed over.
Oh, geez. Speaking of sponsorships and crossover things, yeah. So no. I think Ron. I think if we're gonna do a Fortnite or Roblox based episode, we're gonna need to find some people who have actually played it.
Because I speaking for myself, I played Fortnite originally when it was the build a base, defend against horde of zombies swarming in sort of thing. I did maybe 4 or 5 matches of the PUBG drop-in battle bus thing. And the moment I think I dropped out of that was when I went to shoot someone and they built a 5-story building in 3 seconds. I'm like, nope, that's it. I'm done.
That's it. And that is how you've ruined tower defense games. Congratulations. So, you know, we continue on with season 8 here. So, and, you know, fittingly enough, that is now when we have a Spencer.
Yeah.
Hello.
We have a Spencer.
I was about to ask how long until we acknowledged that Spencer was here.
Well, I saw Spencer pop in, and I'm like, oh, perfect timing, because we're in season 8, which is when Spencer made his very first DLC appearance. When it was just Spencer and I talking about Metal Gear Solid's 20th anniversary. The episode that Veronica refused to participate in.
I still feel bad. It's one of the only times I've dropped out of a podcast.
8 years later,
you couldn't do that for RE4 though. Interesting.
Oh, and the lovers are already at each other's throats over Resident Evil 4. That took about 27 seconds. So,
I like the remake. Isn't that good enough?
I just give the people what they want, Brian.
I know you do. I know you do. And that is acrimonious marriages. All right, but no.
Before we skip ahead, because I just don't want to miss this one, you guys did an episode in 8 on Mega Man 11 and other Capcom drops? And
yes. Or specifically Mega Man 11 and other Capcom droppings, specifically. This
is really, like, from here on is really when Capcom's hit a new golden age. Like, this is...
Yes and no. This is Capcom at its worst in 2018.
I mean, we got Resident Evil 7 in 2017. We got Monster Hunter World in 2018. They're like, those are two of the best of their respective series. Like, I won't argue that they're the best ones, because, like, which is your favorite Resident Evil is, like, choosing between children. But, like, I don't think anybody couldn't argue that they're two of the best ones in their series.
Well, the problem here is we had all of the 2010s with Capcom being utter garbage.
Yeah.
And Street Fighter V came out and was not worth near the price tag that they asked for.
Yeah.
For how little they gave you, which was basically a crappy story mode and then online gameplay, and that was it.
Yeah. Capcom made RE6. That's enough of just a absolute dumpster fire of a game experience that making 7 doesn't repair the damages that they did with 6.
And so we get to 2017, 2018, we're like, okay, they're announcing Monster Hunter World. It's going to be on modern consoles and a PC. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's see how this is going to turn out. Oh, they're showing off Resident Evil 7. How are they going to fuck this one up this time? Mm-hmm. This is them starting to, like, actually spend time and money and effort on making good games again. And it took a long time. By long, I mean 2 years. But they eventually regained that trust. And now you can now look at being like, this is the beginning of Capcom beginning the resurgence. Going from Crapcom to Cap God, as some people like to call it.
That's all I was trying to say, was this was the moment that they started to turn stuff around.
Because 2018, at that point, it had been 8 years since the previous numbered Mega Man game. And yeah, just... No, I'm with Spencer entirely. Resident Evil 6, and yeah, that's it. I don't know if I can... I don't know if I can ever forgive them for that.
It took me 3 games to get back to them after that. Like, I needed to see consistency of quality out of them. Because at that point, they were basically Konami, where it was like, they just didn't give a crap about anything, and they were just putting out whatever slop people would slurp up.
Yes.
Konami's definitely coming up later.
Yeah, but and then keep in mind, like, from Mega Man 11 to present day, as of recording, they've had no Mega Man games come out. We have only gotten reveals and some information on Mega Man Dual Overdrive or Override, whatever the heck that's called. Yep. And that's still a year out. From Mega Man 11 to the next Mega Man game, it's been 9 years.
It is Dual Override, by the way.
Okay, so speaking of abandoned franchises, like, jeez. Like, this was...
I can understand with that, though, because Mega Man is not the kind of game that would translate to 3D well at all. At least the base gameplay. It did not. There's ways to spin off the game to make it fun from a 3D perspective, but if you're talking about the core gameplay mechanics of what Mega Man is about, a 3D that to me is like that like meme game of like Mario on like the Unreal Engine, where it's like just I don't know if you guys have seen that or not, where it's like 3D like third person camera angle, and like Mario's talking to Peach over the comms like it's some freaking like mission that they're on or something. It's just like this is the direction that you're not supposed to go in.
Solid mushroom.
Yes.
I mean,
tactical mushroom action.
With Mega Man, like I get why everybody was so disappointed. So was I. I grew up with Mega Man. I adore Mega Man. But I think a lot of people forget how oversaturated Mega Man was for a while. Between the original series, the X series, the Zero series, the ZX series, the Battle Network games, like, there were like 7 or 8 different Mega Man franchises at one point. and games were coming out constantly, and a lot of them weren't great.
They're making Pokemon look like a franchise that is patient, and Mega Man obviously doesn't have the cachet that Pokemon has. So it was a crazy time.
Part of that too is also the fact that a lot of these games came out on the Nintendo handhelds and a lot of the smaller systems because they were cheap to make. It was an easy IP that they could cash in on and not spend a whole lot of money on, and they could spend the majority of their money and all their time and all their good developers working on Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 6, Street Fighter 4, and Street Fighter 5.
Oh no! Don't do that!
Are you sure they worked on those games?
They said they did. I've got to see. I've read the proof work. I'm not a teacher.
But yeah, so that's season 8 was 2018 was an interesting time. And then moving into season 9, where we have things like other very serious gaming discussion. We bring back the topic of feminism and queer issues. We revised that from season 3. We devoted an episode to streaming games as a service. When
you said
just insert a sound bite of just vomit projectile sounds for about 5 seconds. That's all you need here.
That's
when you said a serious topic, I thought you were going to talk about people fighting over their favorite Smash Brothers in the first episode.
I was going to say this is also the Smash Ultimate had just come out. Our first episode of season 9 was talking about Smash Brothers 20th anniversary, and it was basically everyone deciding which one is better, Ultimate or Melee.
Was Ultimate out at that point?
Yes,
it had to have been.
Yes, yeah. Ultimate just had come out 3 months prior.
Okay, so yeah, and that was. I mean, I still have all of my incarnations of Super Smash Brothers, so I can play whatever one I like. Whatever. It's great.
So none of them.
So there you go. Yes, exactly. None. So we also devoted an episode to the very common and still common facet of the underbelly of the games industry, crunch time. Crunch and burnout, that's still a thing. And review bombing.
Also still a thing.
Yes.
Yeah, and neither of those have gone away.
Neither of them have gone away.
If anything, they've both gotten worse over the years.
We could not resist going back to Final Fantasy for Final Fantasy VI specifically, its 25th anniversary. Because that is my favorite of.
We gotta sneak a Final Fantasy in there every so often, give the people what they want.
We really do. I mean, there were only 11 episodes in season 11. That's season 11, season 9. So we did a couple of anniversaries, and then that was a pretty quiet. Then we moved into season 10. In which we're once again in the business of prognosticating, talking about I have referred it into my notes as the sex box, sex box and PS5 predictions.
Would have anyone predicted that Xbox would self-immolate to the point of absolute hilarity?
No, my God!
I think I even mentioned it being like, why would I buy an Xbox when I can have just Xbox Game Pass? Even back in 2020, I think I said something like that.
We did, I won't say we predicted it because nobody realized how bad it was going to get, but I remember that came up in that podcast that we were talking about. They're giving us reasons not to get an Xbox. That seems weird.
And it's also, and keep in mind too, for those listening, this is literally the final days before COVID stuff happens. So, you're just starting to hear rumblings of some illness coming through from overseas, starting to affect people. And I think we jokingly at the time compared it to the Resident Evil T virus. So
yeah, because we recorded this January 2020, and yeah, very possibly there's some rumblings there, but no, Spencer, I don't think any of us thought that Microsoft was just going to become an out and out meme, just like we. I mean, I remember even then, like, is Xbox going to survive? Because they seem to be just focusing on their service, Game Pass
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sega's over here like, but we invented the Sega Channel. We did it first.
And they also self-immolated. Very interesting.
Yes, they did. So just seeing what Microsoft has just cratered, did not think it would have gotten to that point ever. And then was that also the year where we're getting all of when Microsoft was trying to buy everything in sight?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay.
That's next year.
That's okay. Because we're getting to
come.
That is to come. Then we had we were talking. We devoted an episode just talking about just gorgeous looking games. And then we get in also season 10, the episode for which DLC is now known for. It was a 3-part Resident Evil 4 that Spencer guest hosted. That was the 15th anniversary of Resident Evil 4. That is still to this day the longest episode of DLC ever. That was over 4 hours. New record!
And cemented Spencer and I's slightly trollish friendship.
Indeed.
Yes, very, very, very much. Then we did a historically based episode. Veronica, you guest hosted the history of the Pack-In game, which that
one hasn't really changed because they don't really do them much anymore.
Not a whole lot. And then we get more Final Fantasy because we have to sneak some in there. I think this was...
Hey, this is relevant. Both these are very relevant.
Yeah!
Yes! We talked about the resurrection of Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah.
And then the episode immediately after that was the Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, that one was long.
That one was
Both
long.
quality episodes.
Yeah.
The game was really long, yeah. It shouldn't have been as long as it was, I agree.
I also noped out of that one because I still haven't played it. So that was but yes, that was the Resident Evil. That was Final Fantasy VII. And then season 10 continued along. We had season 10 was where I initially ended DLC after 182 episodes. That was I thought I was done with it, but then a couple years later I was like, no, I miss it. Never say never and all of that fun stuff.
And I'm glad you did. This is a blast.
It's, because that was, we recorded that episode in October 2020, and then January 2022, DLC became a live Twitch show, which that experiment lasted all of 7 episodes? 6? 1, 2, 3, 4.
5? 6?
It was
yeah.
Overall 6. Overall 6 because it started with Welcome to Baron, and I think the last one we did on Twitch was the RE4 remake. The Ashley Needs Saving Again. So that was so
that's 5.
1, 2, 3. So no, we got. So it was a short-lived experiment. It was great for my editing because all I did was just yoink the audio and put that out for the audio versions. But even then, those 6 episodes on Twitch, we started Final Fantasy IV, the 30th anniversary. We talked about video games' love of crypto. Yep. I think that has, unless I'm wrong, I think that has sort of very quietly vanished. Now that
large,
they still exist, but they're much more niche now and much more focused into the general crypto market rather than trying to make it a thing across video games as a whole.
And also, just more and more people are aware of how shitty crypto is. So,
yeah,
there is that. And
they were never able to deliver on their promises, surprisingly enough.
Oh.
Well, you see.
We also had the Metroidvania episode, which that was a fun one, and that was it is. I think we actually talked about it in that episode. It's always a delight when we see new genres that are surging forward, and it's not at this point. It wasn't a new genre; it was our first time really digging into it.
Oh yeah, and there's probably an addendum that will be needed to, or it's basically I'll have to do like an all Hollow Knight episode. So.
There should be an episode about talking about we need to retire that terminology because it's so vague now and it covers so many different actual like types of video game that it's basically irrelevant to call a game a Metroidvania anymore. It's like calling a game an RPG, like how Zelda somehow is called RPGs. It's I feel like it's the same thing for Metroidvanias now, where like I literally had seen someone call Resident Evil 9 a Metroidvania and I almost had a heart attack.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, guys, we've lost the script. It got flushed down the toilet. I think we need to just try again.
Yeah.
Genre, they keep trying to expand on what a genre is until it becomes useless.
Meaningless. Yeah. Again, we could have a whole episode about how genre in video games is almost meaningless as it is because of how different it is in comparison to like any other media, where like a movie genre has like boundaries that are set by definition, when like video games that doesn't really have the same impact.
I also think that if somebody's calling Resident Evil 9 a Metroidvania, I think that's just you're just saying words. Like words have meaning, and like you keep using that word.
The argument was like, well, instead of having upgrades that allow you to access different parts of the map, you have keys. So it's the same principle. And I was just like,
no.
So like the same principle of brain is pudding, because that's the same thing for you.
So all Resident Evils are Metroidvanias by that definition.
Yes. More especially the older ones.
Bold statement. Let's see if they can back it up.
Okay, then by that logic, also Super Mario World is a Metroidvania because you need keys to just unlock secret. Okay, no, I'm not gonna.
I've never seen lock and key gameplay as the defining trait of Metroidvania. Like, I don't understand how you get to that point.
It's like these people need to be convinced that it's a Metroidvania, otherwise they won't play it. So you just call everything a Metroidvania, and they're like, "Oh, I'll try it then, sure."
That's why genres keep getting broader, because a lot of places just use it as marketing to get people in, and video games cross-pollinate between genres so much that every genre starts getting broader over time.
Okay, I'm gonna call Call of Duty a Metroidvania just cause, if we're just throwing words around. Rocket League,
you need to kill the right number of guys to unlock this certain area.
Rocket League, Metroidvania.
Yes.
Tetris, Metroidvania.
Guys, I need to breathe.
Tetris, Metroidvania. Star Fox.
Metroid, surprisingly not a Metroidvania.
Metroid RPG. That's.
Yeah. Yes. Monster collecting game, actually.
Yes. Pokemon, action platformer.
Ooh. I mean, Pokopia, kind of.
Mortal Kombat, sports title. I can go on. I can, it's...
Madden's obviously an FPS.
Yes. Yep.
You guys broke Veronica.
There we go. Congratulations. We're just gonna, if we're gonna do that, just words no longer have any meaning. Up is down.
Oh hey, we went back to Final Fantasy 14.
Again.
We had 5 episodes, 2 of them were Final Fantasy.
Yep. And, but the Twitch era was an experimental era, and then I decided, okay, back to audio only here. Because we did those Twitch episodes in 2022, and then we had another 2-year break before I was like, all right, back to this now. So we get the RE4 remake, and then I stopped actually calling them. So season 12, quote unquote, were the 2025 episodes. So, we open back up with the 20th anniversary of the Xbox, or is that the 360? I'm trying to remember if it was the.
I think that was the 360. Yeah.
It was
based on date and timing.
Yeah. It was the 360.
You skipped over me redeeming myself in the Resident Evil 4 episode, saying I liked the
let's pump the brakes. Calm down there.
It's fine. We can keep going.
Did you redeem yourself in Spencer's eyes? I don't know. I think he's the judge of that.
Oh,
Exactly.
Fair enough.
Xbox 360 20th anniversary, which I still need to replay Lost Odyssey. I really do. So 2025. So we get some interesting things in 2025, because that's we had talked about video game music in several other episodes, but this was the first episode in which we really devoted, like, we spoke about our favorite composers. That was a lot of fun. I want to get a hold of Gabe again to do another one for this year.
Yes.
Ron, if you wind up joining that episode, I'll have to give you a list of the composers we've already mentioned so that we don't get any...
I was going to say, I'm assuming you've already hit, like, Uematsu and like, some other ones.
Go ahead, Brian.
We hit a few legends.
I can list them all. I have them right here. We did 12. We did Capcom Sound Team, Ishimoto. We did Ryo Nagamatsu, Yoko Shimomura, Austin Jorgensen, Toby Fox, Hitomi Sato, Darren Korb, the entire game of Goodbye Volcano High, Masayoshi Soken, Yasunori Mitsuda, and Christopher Larkin.
Okay, so we deliberately avoided Uematsu because we could do an entire 7 episodes. I actually think the bulk of that episode, I think, was largely taken up by Mitsuda. That was definitely one of the ones that we spent the most time on. For a good reason.
Who could have guessed that would have happened when I was hosting the episode?
Yeah.
Strange.
Weird. Yes.
I mean, we could do a whole Mitsuda episode easy peasy.
Yeah, also
if
that.
we were gonna,
100%.
That's a coincidence. That's a random coincidence.
Yeah,
totally unrelated to anything I'm actually doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep. And remember, Uematsu composed for Metroidvanias. An entire series of them. So,
he composed the original Metroidvania song.
Yes.
The crystal theme.
Puzzle game. So, after the DLC special, Veronica, we have another history lesson in which you did an episode, the history of trans representation.
Yes, I did. That is the episode in this series. For people who are out there, I over-prepare for every podcast I'm on.
Yep.
I spent more time on this episode than I have spent on anything else in the history of this podcast. I don't know how many hours I spent preparing for this podcast, but it was in double digits.
Well, you basically gave a lecture, was what you did.
I did. I really did.
Professor Whited gave a lecture on the history of trans representation, and she did a very good job. So,
I'm
welcome
very
to
proud
my
of
V
that
Talk.
I am very proud of that episode. I'm very happy with how it turned out, and that I could bring a lot of this to an audience that might not be super familiar with a lot of this stuff.
So, yes. So last year, season 12, there was 8 episodes, and Veronica, you were in every single episode last year.
What can I say? I'm prolific.
Yeah, you are. You're also trying desperately to catch up to Ron. So,
I mean, I only have another 4 or 5 years if he never shows up again.
No,
and I want him to show up again. So Who knows?
If
I may be chasing that forever.
you might. You absolutely might.
We'll just have to do a couple more RE4 episodes. That'll.
I say you want to do another 40 episodes. Like, listen, if you all start doing 40 more episodes of Resident Evil, I've seen enough streamers playing Resident Evil 7, 8, and 9 where I can start talking about some of that stuff too. So you might be in trouble.
Oh. So
we did have Spencer in a lot of these episodes too.
Yes, there's also Spencer was the most prolific in season 8. Not season 8, season 12. We did the playing games for the fun of it.
Yes.
Because that was basically in response to how a lot of gamers play games nowadays where they kind of hate play it, or it's just playing. We just want to play for fun. We don't need to mystery science theater everything we play. We don't need to examine every single game through a hypercritical lens.
Which kind of leads right into the one that came after that, Like a Warm Blanket, talking about cozy and wholesome games.
Well, that's this season. So that's the season opener. So
okay.
We are we ended last season with, talking about Game Informer, the rise, fall, and rebirth of Game Informer. And we also devoted an episode, because we like to bash on the industry. The industry needs an intervention.
I will say, with the rise, fall, and rebirth of Game Informer, one big thing that happened over the course of this podcast is the consolidation and near death of print media when it comes to video games, and the consolidation of websites when it comes to video games.
Yeah, I still prefer to get all of my game information in print, because I don't know how many of you check sites like IGN or Kotaku or Polygon on your mobile devices, but it nearly breaks my phone because there's so many ads and pop-ups and autoplay videos when I try to access those sites. So then
it's like a paragraph, and then you get 32 ads, and then a paragraph, and then you get 32 ads. So you can't even read the article.
Yep. So that's why I don't do it. If I'm going to read gaming news online, I will go to the big screen. I will use my PC where I have ad blockers out the ass to ad blockers and comment blockers, because comment sections on articles are the worst thing ever.
Also, it takes too long to scroll down to them to even read them anyways.
Yeah. I didn't know there were comment blockers. I just kind of ignore the comments.
I have comment blockers because, occasionally I like being petty, but but sometimes I just see comments that are just so fucking stupid. Kind of on the same level of stupidity as calling Resident Evil 9 a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
Guys, when you talk, do you hear yourself? Do you hear the words coming out of you? Do you see the words you're putting on the screen? Do they make sense to you?
If you can't read, then no. So,
I mean, I'm surprised they can type, considering how furious they tend to be at all times. But yes, the consolidation of pretty much all video game online media under 2 or 3 companies, and then most magazines dying except for Game Informer, Edge, and then a couple niche magazines.
Yeah,
Game Informer did die, and then it came back.
I know it did. We're talking about its rebirth.
It was I don't know if Ron, you have a current subscription to Game Informer.
I do not.
But if you don't, I would strongly suggest that you get one, because the magazine now is so much better. There are no print ads in it. They don't do ads.
It's a big step up.
It's a huge step up. I really love it. And they're free from GameStop, so we don't have the freaking GameStop bias. Or at least what I perceive to be the GameStop bias. Let me make that abundantly clear. But yeah, the only really current, just general video game and video game industry print magazines that exist anymore are Game Informer and Edge. And Edge is a British publication. So
There's also an Australian one as well, but it's not as well known in America.
What's it called?
I don't even remember what its name is. I know a friend of mine gets it.
You had me, and then you blew it.
Sorry.
Like, wait, another print mag? Oh. I'll have to go look it up. Fine.
I can get the name for you. Just give me a little time.
But yeah, so, and then of course we've just started this season, so by the time this episode releases, you'll have. This is the third episode of the current season, so you have, the Like a Warm Blanket, in which we talk about cozy and wholesome games. And then after the credits, in which we talk about the notion of post-game content. So those you'll have to listen to. So, 15 years, everyone. We've done this, and again, what have we done? What have we spent the last 15 years of our lives doing?
Carried the podcast industry on our shoulders. That's what we've done.
Hey, thank you, Spencer. We've put the entire podcast industry on our backs because we set the standard for excellence here.
The hard carrying, what can we say?
Yeah, very hard. Send us your Advil.
It's a thankless job. Someone has to do it.
Yes.
It has been a freaking blast doing this for so long. Like, just going back through and looking at the different episodes I was in and just remembering a lot of the stuff, like, I've had an amazing time. And as much as we poke fun at it, I really enjoyed getting to meet people like Ron and Spencer, who I really wouldn't know very well if it wasn't for the podcast. And it's really good to have it back.
As I said, this all started because I wanted a place to talk about video games with friends, because they were conversations that I cannot have with my spouse. I love them dearly, but again, video games is one of those subjects where I start getting, as Spencer knows very well, I start getting rabid about something video games related, and I can see Ethan's eyes just glaze over.
That's exactly why I was laughing.
Yep, 100%.
This picture ass just dead stare into nothingness.
Yep.
Good times.
I mean, you probably get some of that with Danny.
No, I've converted her. She is right now playing Pokopia while we've been fighting back and forth over Pokopia.
So
that game has been.
Patrick Fowles playing Animal Crack again.
It's literally Pokemon Crack. It's incredible. I'll probably push to try and do an episode for it. Well, because I think it's going to be Game of the Year worthy for sure.
I am so glad to hear that. I am not picking it up until I finish one of the games I'm currently playing, so it'll probably be a couple weeks, but I am so excited to play that.
There's been a wild banger of a couple weeks for me between RE9 and that, like 2 Game of the Years just back to back. Like both games are just phenomenal.
RE9 is what I'm in the middle of right now.
And I'm very glad
It's so good, but I can only play it when Deja's off. So I only get to play it like 2 days a week now. So it'll be a week or 2 before I finish it.
Okay, Grace, chill out.
So I'm glad to know that you can play the whole game in third person.
Yes, you can do it however you want. You can switch it so it's like you play Grace in third person and Leon in first person. You can set it up in whatever configuration that you want. And
I would be playing third person the whole game.
And you don't even have to go into the options. It's part of that. When you start the game, it pops up with whether you want to do it by what the developers intended, or if you want to switch it up to whichever you want.
A Resident Evil game where I don't feel the need to barf 30 minutes into it is great. So,
you're probably still gonna barf, let's be honest.
But not from motion sickness.
Okay, fair.
Yeah. If the game's story and gore causes me to barf, that's one thing. If it's motion sickness, that's completely different.
My goal is, as long as I can finish the game before PAX East because I'm worried Resident Evil 9 will be spoiled for me if I don't.
Oh, it absolutely will.
That's why I'm doing it before then.
It absolutely will, especially since I was looking at the schedule. There's going to be a Resident Evil cosplay meetup. So, don't go to PAX if you're worried about spoilers because it's probably going to be spoilers.
That's why I'm going to beat it before I go.
Okay, good. So, before I wind all of this up and all of that, just some numbers and stats to throw at you. So, over the course of 200 episodes, we've had 52 unique guests. So, 52 individuals over 200 episodes. Thank you, all of you. Whether you've been on for one episode or you're triple digits like Ron, just thank you all so much for being a part of DLC's history. And I hope, for some of you who dropped off, I hope we get to meet again on this. It's a lot of fun, and I intend to keep doing it for as long as I feel I want to keep doing it, frankly, because it's fun. So with the numbers here, so as far as episode appearances are concerned, so I went through the list, and we have the top 5. Ron and Veronica are obviously 1 and 2 with 129 and 73 episodes, respectively. Nick Whitford is 3rd with 41. Our good friend Shanna in 4th at 33, and Ryan Wallace of the Brothers Wallace is in 5th with 29. Spencer, this is 17 for you. So.
Oh, my favorite number. Let's go.
There you go. So, really?
Mm-hmm.
So 17 is and if you're on the next episode, you'll have 18. So things that we're looking forward to for the rest of the season. I won't go too much into some of what's already been planned, but there's definitely some ideas that have been spawned, not just from this episode, but other episodes. Like, I know it was mentioned that a potential Pokemon 30th anniversary, which would not be hosted by me. It would be hosted by someone who is actually who lives, eats, breathes, and sleeps Pokemon. So,
hi,
Spencer.
Hello.
Hi. We mentioned I want to do another music episode, the DLC Special 2.
Hi.
Hi.
I got a lot of hosting to do this year, and I'm good with it.
There was someone suggested doing an episode just of the Remedy universe. So
hi.
Oh yes.
So Alan Wake Control, Alan Wake 2,
Control Resonant probably.
By the way, I got to the part you told me about, Spencer. Holy crap, was it amazing.
Yes.
It was really good.
There's going to be a free play because that's all we do. That's every year we have one. I haven't mentioned the free plays on this retrospective. We've done a bunch of them.
Yeah, we have.
But those are probably some of my favorite episodes, just the open discussions. Because it's so fun to see what people bring. Like when we bring a topic to a free play, it's usually a topic that probably doesn't have enough meat on it for a full 2-hour or so episode, but it's still worthy of discussion, and I love that because I love the like spin the wheel nature of those episodes. Like, I have no idea what everyone's going to talk about, so let's see.
I was gonna say, if you're interested, I'm still interested in doing the evolution of horror, doing another historical episode on how horror games have grown over time.
Yeah, I mean, we did one where we devoted an episode entirely to survival horror, but that, we could revisit that. I mean,
well, I was talking about horror. I wasn't just talking about survival horror,
but horror in general. Yep. So
yeah.
That is on the list. We've added a few just from this episode, like the return of couch co-op, Roblox, the spawn of Satan, an episode talking about genre blurring, where survival horror is now Metroidvania. Thank you, Spencer, for
anytime.
What do you know? We're never going to run out of topics.
Oh my God! So we're gonna have another 200 episodes. I love it. I have no idea
Don't
how
forget,
long
you're here forever.
you're stuck here forever. The
I mean,
next,
to be fair,
Ron,
you
back
guys
in
are
the
trapped
basement
here.
with you.
To be fair, you guys are trapped in here with me.
the next episode of DLC is the Threshold Kids. Because, that's good old-fashioned nightmare fuel, but seriously.
It really is.
But seriously, guys, thank you all so much for sharing this with me, for joining me to talk about video games and just to have a great time. I mean, obviously you come on here because you want to. You don't have to. You choose to, and I very much appreciate it. I always enjoy just the different perspectives that an episode brings, and I will keep doing it until I decide truly I'm done. Which I thought was the case in 2022, and well, I was wrong. So,
Don't let yourself burn out. Take breaks.
that's well, it was very hard not to burn out during COVID.
Everybody was burning out for a variety of
For
reasons.
a variety of reasons. So, do you guys have anything else you want to say before I put this episode to bed?
Thank you for doing all the behind the scenes work, Brian.
Yeah, 100%. Like,
Thanks
not
for-
just as a
yeah.
host, this wouldn't exist without you.
Yeah, hosting is a difficult thing as it is. You're handling all of the hosting of the website. You're handling the hosting of the servers. You're putting it all on the platform for everyone to listen to. Just all the legwork and time leading up to and post recording is a lot of time and effort, and I really do appreciate that and thank you for it.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome, everyone. It's a lot of fun. It's hard work, and this is all volunteer. No one gets paid. We're not sponsored by anything. But if you ever feel the need to throw money at us, I won't say no. I have no shame. But no, this is we have no ads. We have
Help
no
pay for that
sponsorship.
hosting.
Yes, we have no ads. We have no sponsorship because I've never wanted this to be dictated by money. This is still something that I do for fun and enjoyment, and that's still my intention. So, all right, my friends, if you have any thoughts, comments, if you want to share any other memories of DLC, you can do so on the website. Click the feedback button, dlcpodcast.com. You can also give us suggestions for future episodes, and every episode can also be found there, as well as Apple Podcasts / iTunes, YouTube, and Spotify. So all it remains for me to do is to thank Ron, Veronica, and Spencer for being on this episode with me. And for the next 200 episodes, I'm Brian. Have a good one, everybody.